What's up, guys? Based on Cinema, back at it again here, and today we're on the last movie in our movie review trilogy. We are doing Terrifier 3. Very much looking forward to this one, and man, it has been a journey leading up to this movie. Saw it in theaters. I think this is the first Terrifier movie that we've seen in theaters. Is that correct?
Yeah,
I think so,
first
man.
one.
I was so excited to go see it in theaters because, it's totally different when it's on the big screen. Art the Clown is set to unleash chaos on the unsuspecting residents of Miles County as they peacefully drift off to sleep on Christmas Eve. We get a horror Christmas movie in October. At first I was like, it would be nice if they saved this for December, but it kind of worked because it's spooky season. And
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. I was so excited going into this movie, but at the same time so nervous. A third movie of a franchise could really make or break its future. And we see that a lot of the times in franchises. But this one does a great job carrying the sword from number 2 to number 3. And then we see a very interesting and curious but bright future for this saga. And man, I watched the teaser trailer only once. And I didn't look into it ever again because I'm like, well, I think we know what we're going to get from this movie. And it's not really necessary to dig deeper. We already, like me and Nick, I watched the first 2 movies over again for each review that we did for the past 2 weeks. And I was pretty refreshed. I had no need to look into the third movie at all. All that I know is that it was going to be the most gruesome one of them all. And I could have guessed that myself. But, man, this movie lets you know right away that it is in for some serious business. So, Nick, what were you thinking before this movie? What were your expectations going into it?
Before I even saw it, before I heard anything, saw anything about it, after seeing Terrifier 2, I was just like, the way that ended, I was like, damn, it's over. Fuck. But then they had that little scene at the end where they reveal it's not over. So the whole time I've been thinking is, how the fuck are they gonna continue from that point forward? How are they gonna step it up? How are they gonna build upon that? And as soon as I saw the first teaser trailer and followed along with some of the news and the happenings, I was just fucking just pure adrenaline in my veins waiting for this movie to come out. I was excited. I was very, very nervous as well because, like you said, we've had 2 solid films.
Very
First
solid.
one, the pacing was a little on the slow side, but 2 very solid films. The third one could have made or break it, like you said, and it's just that was on my mind, like in the back of my mind. But you could say that the excitement overtook that, and I was just excited to see where they were gonna go with the different characters and where they go story-wise, lore-wise, and just knowing for myself that this was gonna be a bigger budgeted film, what was gonna entail that? Because we talked previously with Terrifier 2 that sometimes having a bigger budget means more studio influence or more studio control.
Right.
So I was that was also something I was nervous about, but generally, just pure excitement.
Yeah, I watched an interview with Damian Leone. And I found out it's Leone, not Leone. So
Oh
we're
shit,
going to call him Leone from now on. My apologies if
Leone.
you're ever watching this, which you probably will never. But I watched an interview,
Apologies.
and he said that he literally only had like a year to make the movie, the script, and everything. And, the studio gave them a budget. I think, I forget how many millions of dollars it was, but much bigger than their second movie, which was like $250,000.
I think this was 200. I think this was 2 million.
Something like that.
I think I could check. I think it was 2 million though. I remember seeing it.
2 million, yeah.
Go.
The director basically said, he had a year to make it. He had his budget. He had his time frame. And the rule was to keep it at a 2-hour maximum. And he literally took every second that they gave him and made it exactly 2 hours long, including the credits. And throughout the movie, you could see that some stuff could have been cut out, and we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But you know, the hype for Art the Clown and these movies right now is unreal. I remember when I saw the teaser for this movie, I immediately just knew that this was going to be the year for Terrifier. This is going to be the year of Art the Clown. Art the Clown is going to make waves, you know, throughout the country, and he really has. He really, really has. You know, I have a friend who goes to college, and he dresses up as Art the Clown and goes around campus and with his bag, with the trash bag filled with candy, and he'll approach different people and give them candy. And he's kind of like a celebrity on campus right now. Like he's on like the school page. People are like going up to him and giving him high fives and hugs and taking pictures of him. It's all the craze right now. You're seeing it everywhere. They're doing a really good marketing for this movie. They have a popcorn bucket that was just released for a pre-order. I already pre-ordered it. It's coming in April.
I didn't get one. Sad.
Yeah, you could probably still buy it online. We'll see. But man, the resale value of those are going to be pretty high. You know, you have the popcorn buckets are coming out. They're making a lot more. Making some posters. You're seeing it advertised online as one of like the most gruesome movies ever. I think it's actually unrated. I think it's actually unrated, which is nuts.
Yeah.
Not literally not rated at all, which is wild. I think in some country, I forgot what it is. What's up?
It's hard to find unrated movies in theaters.
Right.
Like, it's not as common.
Right. And it's topped tier lists of, you know, traumatic movies that can give you trauma and therapy, and it's gotten so high on the list of what this does to people. And in some countries, I think it was France or something, but it put it on it's never been banned or something in regards to it being shown in theaters, or it wasn't put on this high of a category in decades, and you could easily see why. I mean, I was driving around today, and like I'm seeing the leaves fall, I'm seeing the leaves change, and it finally feels like Halloween season for the first time in a long time for me.
Must be nice.
I'm sorry, Nick's down in Florida. He doesn't have any weather changing right now. It's just kind of stagnant the whole way through for the majority of the year. But it sucks because this is like Nick's favorite season.
It is.
And you know, Ice Nine Kills just made a song because you know Ice Nine Kills. If you know Ice Nine Kills, they do a lot of songs that are in the theme of some horror movies. So they did one for Jason, they did one for Freddy, they did one for Michael, and they did one for Chucky. So a lot of their songs is based on horror movies, and they did one for Terrifier. Art the Clown actually makes an appearance in the music video, and it's a pretty sick music video. It's a pretty sick song. I've low-key been playing it on repeat every now and then. I'll just have an urge to put it on, and I put it on. And man, I mean, I was so happy driving today and thinking about the place that horror's in and what this is doing to the culture, and it's so awesome. And he's such a lovable character, even though you see what he does on screen. Like if you had to like pick a slasher to get killed by, Art the Clown is probably one of the last ones you'll ever choose. But at the same time, he's one of the most fun to watch on screen. These movies do such a good job balancing comedy and horror. It's honorable almost. You know, it almost humbles you how well they give you like gasping for air in 1 second, and the next you have the biggest smile on your face laughing. You know, man. Let's get into this movie a little bit. Nick, any more thoughts before we start?
Yeah, in terms of the comedy aspect and how they balance it out, some people might say it's on par with the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Right. Because Freddy was a big comedian in his... Well, they didn't... Like, not a lot of people like that about his films and about his character through some of the films. But, like, it was a big thing for him to poke fun and, like, joke while he tortures and kills you.
There you go. I mean, I still think Mr. Freeze had the best comedy. So, That was a joke. All right.
Mr. Freeze comedy?
Yeah, you're the best comedy. There's a couple actresses and actors that are new. We have Antonella Rose. She plays Gabby, which is Santa's cousin. She was in Fear the Walking Dead. She was in a miniseries called Candy. Some shorts, some TV, and that's really it. She was in a movie called A Christmas Carol in 2019. And this is going to be her first big break apart from the Fear the Walking Dead, I would say. You have, I think, Aunt Jessica, who is Santa's aunt.
Mm-hmm.
She's been doing some TV. She was in The Irishman.
Oh, sick.
She was in The Incoherence. Some shorts, obviously, some TV. And that's really all that's really notable. She was in Nurse Jackie, Blue Bloods, White Collar. Nick, didn't you just watch White Collar?
Yeah, White Collar is fucking sick.
So she's in that. She's very shortly. She's just credited as a businesswoman. She was in Law and Order, and that's really it for her. Then we have Uncle Greg, Bryce Johnson. He was in Oppenheimer. He was one of the officers.
Okay.
He was in American Horror Story.
I recognized him from something.
Okay. He was in American Horror Story in 2021.
I know who that is, but from somewhere.
He was in Magnum P.I. in one episode. He was in The Good Doctor. Some shorts, some movies we've never heard before.
Wait, what movies?
What movies? We have Darkness Rising. Allegoria. Visions. Deadly Daycare. Broad Trip. Oh! He was in Supernatural.
That's where I knew him from.
Yeah?
That's where I knew him from.
I mean,
dude,
go
as
figure.
soon as he came on,
Go figure.
As soon as he came on camera, I'm like, I literally was like, recognize that motherfucker.
Who do you play? I'm trying to see where he.
Had to be somebody of like some importance, cause I just don't remember just anybody. You know, I'm just like, oh, I some dude who played the doctor in season 5, episode 12. That's the doctor. That's the doctor who helped Dean put his cast on.
You would remember that Nick scene. Remember Nick when the show was still on air? He would rewatch the entire show for the new season, and after that season's over, a new season comes along. He would watch the entire show again with that new season, and that's what he would do for like every season.
Be caught up, man. Be on my shit.
Get on his level. He was also on Glee, NCIS, Anger Management with Shawnee Smith.
Oh, shit.
Renaissance, Burning Skies, video games, more TV, movie called Hit List. I mean, he's been on a lot. He was in Justice League Heroes, the video game. He voiced Aquaman.
Dope.
He was in Call of Duty 2.
Oh, shit.
He was on House for one episode. I'm currently watching House.
Keep an eye out.
Gilmore Girls. That's it. He's been around for a while.
He's one of us.
I'm going to mention Mia. Alexa Blair Robertson. I actually liked her character.
She did good because I hated her character.
Exactly. Precisely that, yes. She was in a TV movie called One Summer. She was in Diary of the Wimpy Kid, The Long Haul. Didn't play a prominent role at all. She was in the show Chuck. And that's it. She really hasn't been in a lot. And there's a few other things there that aren't really worth mentioning, but...
Is this her breakout?
I will mention Cole Mason McCartia. He was in Twin Flame, the short, a bunch of shorts, more shorts, Blue Ridge TV series. Really hasn't been... He was in Miss Marvel. He was in Stranger Things.
Oh, cool.
Stranger Things. For one episode. That's it. There's not.
I'm looking forward to Stranger Things.
Yeah, I stopped watching maybe like 3-4 years ago.
Damn. Season 1 done.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm not gonna lie. We have Clint Howard. You guys should know Clint Howard. He's been in a lot. Clint Howard was in... Jeez, he's in so much. You just see him all the time. What are some big movies I can mention real fast so we can get started with this? He was in 3 from Hell, the Rob Zombie movie.
Mm-hmm.
He was in Solo, A Star Wars Story, Star Trek Discovery, The Funhouse Massacre. He's been in a lot of horror movies recently. Some TV. What am I thinking of him from? Is it Billy Madison or Waterboy?
I'm not sure.
He was in Lords of Salem. Obviously, Rob Zombie likes him.
I don't remember him. The name, I was like, huh.
He was in The Bar.
It looks familiar.
He's in Halloween. He was in Halloween. Yeah, Rob Zombie likes him. He was in Curious George.
Curious George.
Cinderella Man. He was a referee.
Dope.
Cat in the Hat. House of the Dead.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Austin Powers, Gold Member, Star Trek Enterprise, Black Woods, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Yes, he was in that. I remember him in that. Little Nicky. He was in Little Nicky. How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Little Nicky. Sick.
He was in that. I literally remember him from that. I'm like wondering. He was in Austin Powers, A Spy Who Shagged Me, Total Recall, The Waterboy. He was in The Waterboy. I was right. The Dentist 2.
Dude, we have to watch that.
We have to watch The Dentist 2.
It's at your house.
I know. We watched the first one. That was a fun time.
Dude, we should review that one.
I would review The Dentist.
We should review
The Dentist is over Art the Clown. I don't care.
Seriously?
No.
I'm gonna say, dude, that movie is fucking nuts, dude.
It was fun. Austin Powers, The Instrumental Man of Mystery, the first one. Yada, yada, yada. He's in a lot, man. He's in Apollo 13.
All right, we know everything now that
Yeah.
he's been in. It's
All right,
on.
Seinfeld, yada,
Fuck
yada.
you, Clint.
He's literally been in
Getting
so
Clint.
much, dude.
Love you, Clint.
Bradley Stryker is actually in this one as well.
You said Bradley Cooper. I was like, holy
Bradley
shit.
Stryker, just a couple things. You know what? Screw it. If you want to look at Matthew Stryker, go look him up. No offense to him at all. I just want to get into this review. And then the guy...
For reference, Matthew Stryker, if you do see this, these go on for at least an hour to 2 hours.
Yes.
That is why.
That's literally why. Daniel Roebuck, he played Santa in The Bar.
Sick.
Yeah, he's been in a bunch as well.
I knew Santa was real.
Yeah, I knew he was real too. All right, that's all I'm going through right now. Like, because
I never doubted him for a second.
These last few people have so many credits, it's kind of gnarly. Let's get into this, man.
Oh,
what?
Tom Savini.
Tom Savini?
He was in the news broadcast.
Got it. Yes.
About the kids who got blown up. He was a special appearance.
Thank you for
Makeup special effects legend.
Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome. I just wanted to put that out there. Much love to Tom Savini and his school, and just everything Tom Savini. Guy's a freaking legend, dude.
If you want some insight, he did makeup and special effects for a lot.
Dude, yeah. Like I said, legend. Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, Day of the Dead, Friday the 13th, Final Chapter, Creep Show.
Nice.
Creep Show was
I remember
good.
him being,
Maniac, Friday the 13th, the first one.
Yeah, I know he got really big with the Friday the 13th films. I think that was like where he started, possibly. It's been a minute. I watched his documentary, dude. So good.
To our viewers, I apologize for talking about different actors for 15 minutes. I just think it's good to look into the people who made the film as what it is.
It takes a village.
Yeah, it takes a village. So before we get into the review, I just want to give a disclaimer for anybody watching this right now. This is a bit of a spoiler review, and I will be going into some very specific, detailed aspects of this movie. So if you are uneasy regarding gore, blood, and any sort of very descriptive imagery, you might want to stop now and go watch another review, because this one is very, very descriptive.
Very descriptive. If you're blind and listening to this is for you.
This is for you.
Inclusive. Very inclusive here.
Put us on Audible.
Don't discriminate.
All right, so I watched this film once. I wanted to go see it again. I was not able to. But I was able to watch some breakdown videos, and I was able to take a more vague take on the chronology of the film. So bear with me, and we're just gonna talk as we go through this. Nick, interrupt me, please, whenever you want to.
Do you want me to start with the opening, or do you remember you got the opening?
Yeah,
down?
I got it. Yeah.
All right, sick.
So when you watch the opening scene, the director, Damien Leone gives you an opportunity to leave the theater before this film gets too deep, and this 10 minutes will test you to see if you can withhold from running out of the theater, and it does its job well, very well. If you have watched our previous 2 reviews, you'll know that Nick and I, through every single Terrifier film, mainly specifically the second one, specifically with Jonathan, when he encounters Art, we're like, is he going to kill a kid?
Yeah.
Or at least a teen? Like, is he going to kill Jonathan? And he doesn't. He's like, oh, man. Whew. He's not
Thank Lord.
He's not going to kill kids.
He got a taste for him in that movie.
Right. Yeah, he did, literally. Whipped his ass. The opening scene is an extension of the teaser trailer. I like this because you can't really put too much in a trailer for this movie, but I like that they only gave us the teaser and it opened up with a teaser.
Yeah.
I like when movies release a trailer and what's within the trailer is shown like right in the beginning of the first half. I appreciate that a lot. It just makes less room for spoilers.
The worst kind of teaser trailers or trailers are the ones that show the whole film.
The whole entire movie.
Blumhouse. Marvel.
The entire movie. That's why I can't watch trailers anymore. It's like one of the aspects to why I don't watch trailers anymore because they reveal so much.
That's why, dude, I stick to like teaser if I can, just teaser. I'm a little more of a sucker for that stuff. I'll be like, yeah, trailer number 2's out. Fuck yeah.
Right.
And then I'll watch it. I'll be like, fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember watching, like, Speaking of Evil, for example. I saw that trailer I don't even know how many times when I was at the theater. And I'm watching the trailer and, like, a third of the way through, I'm like, they've shown everything at this point. I don't have to even go see it, you know? They revealed too much. So
it's the whole movie.
Yeah, it's the whole movie. So like I said, the opening scene is an extension of the teaser trailer. A little girl hears Santa Claus, hears some noises on the roof, and goes to tell her parents. They kind of just shoo her off, tell her to go to bed. She goes downstairs to see Santa at the Christmas tree. He's going through his red sack, and he pulls out an axe. He makes his way up to her brother's room. The brother then speaks to his sister, but is cut off by Art, who slashes away at his body repeatedly. He finally goes that way and kills a kid. I remember watching that same interview with Damien, and I really haven't watched too many interviews because I wanted to make our reviews as honest as possible without getting too much of his own voice. Yeah. But I did watch about 20 minutes of an interview, and he says that he really tries to walk that line. The line of what's too far and what's not far enough. Yeah. And we hear a kid getting murdered, but we don't see it.
We don't see it. We see the aftermath.
We see the aftermath.
Oh, he does good at writing it because you don't see any kids die in other scenes specifically.
Yes.
But you see the aftermath.
Right.
So, it's fucking insane.
And you can see her jolting the sister. She's jolting when she hears the noises. And you're like, man, this is really realistic.
The whole time I was watching, I was like, she's over here like, is this what happens to the naughty list?
She's gonna be scarred for life.
Santa ran out of
Santa
ran out of coal. She was scarred for the rest of her life for the next 15 minutes.
Yeah, pretty much. He then proceeds to go to the parents' room and begins to chop away at the father. Mother then awakens from the axe hacking and finds herself in a pool of blood and next to a near decapitated husband. Art is laughing. The daughter goes and hides, and then he then proceeds to kill the wife. Later, we see Art kick his feet up and eat his cookies and milk that was left out for Santa Claus.
He even had the decency. Even had the decency to wash his plate and put everything away nicely.
Goes, washes the dishes, and hears a little noise within a cupboard. He opens the cupboard and finds the girl and gives her a little wave. We don't know what happens here, but it is presumed that she dies as well.
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed that this is definitely part of the demonic influence, but from each movie, he becomes more evil in his ways.
No, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like much more evil as the movies go on. It's very prevalent.
No, yeah. In my note that I put in, I put like the opening Christmas scene was insane, and just like basically I put where was it? Art is even more sadistic this time around with a higher and more brutal body count.
Right. Yeah.
As opposed to like the other films.
Sure. Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, he's Art the Clown. He's the most vicious killer you've probably ever seen in a movie. But he continues to one-up himself.
Mm-hmm.
Now we get a shot of 5 years earlier from this present time. We are now back at the mid-credit scene, or post-credit scene, whatever you want to call it, of the second movie of Terrifier 2. The nurse who finds Vicky is getting eaten by Vicky and Art's head. Chris Jericho hears a scuffle going on and enters the room, shocked and horrified. I'll talk about Chris Jericho in a second. A cop searches the Terrifier ride and is waiting for backup to arrive. So now we're back at the Terrifier. He finds Art's headless body, and the body eventually stands and decapitates the cop. Art's body takes the cop's head and puts it on his own body as a temporary placeholder. There's also a scene where like Art is on a bus or a train and he's like holding the head.
Yeah, he's like, trying to keep it on.
Trying to keep it on. And there's just like this person looking at him like, what the hell? Vicky and Art, this movie just doesn't fail to make me go like, oh my gosh. And even like Art is holding his new head on his body. It's just hilarious.
Yeah, we get that whole flashback to Terrifier 2 and that part of like that timeline.
Yes.
And like just to like piggyback off that, it's like we see now more so now that even more of Art's supernatural abilities because of this new demonic force that brought him back. He doesn't even need his head they don't even need to be connected. They can still act without it. And it was just insane because, like you said, he's just sitting there trying to put this decapitated head he just stole onto his own body to make it work. And it's just...
I remember in the theater, I'm like looking at his body on the ground, like cops walking around. I'm like, his body's not going to just stand up, right? And then it did. I'm like, there's no way. You know, and I didn't know how I felt about it at first. But like what Nick is saying, like his entire body is filled with evil. And it's a horror movie, so it works, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And, you know, Nick, like Nick is saying, as the film progresses and he becomes more violent and vile, so does the supernatural element become stronger within the lore, within the story, and within Art. And now his body is being manipulated. And if you look at the post-credit scene or mid-credit scene of the second movie, you know, his face and his head is moving, and it's just his head. You know, Vicky gives birth to his head. And so if his head could still move off of the body, perhaps the body can move off, you know, when it's off of the head, when it's not attached to the head.
Like a chicken.
Yes. So Vicky and Art's head then proceed to attack Chris Jericho at the hospital. Art's body shows up and helps in the action. And then we watch Chris Jericho as he dies. I remember watching this scene. I'm like, I'm watching Chris Jericho die right now. Like, dude. I never thought that I would ever say the words that have just came out of my mouth in my entire life. Chris Jericho being attacked by Art the Clown in a horror movie and dying. You know, I never thought I would ever say these words my entire life.
When I saw that happen, dude, I was like, oh shit, Chris is back. And then I was like, oh shit, Chris is back.
Yeah. And here's the thing, like I didn't think his acting was that great. I think, you know, his reaction to seeing what's happening in the cell was it wasn't like he tried his
I thought it was
best.
good for what it was.
Exactly. It was good for what it was. It was good for what it was. It's Chris Jericho, you know?
The only thing that made me like kind of like go like, come on, is that like we see people swing and fight in the first 10 minutes. The mom, like, you see like the cop a little bit, but when you see Chris Jericho go to defend himself while he's being choked against the wall by Vicky,
right?
The punches and the hits don't feel like he's really like, fuck you, bitch. It's more of like a, does that look good?
You think it's like that, or do you think his character is just so scared that he just doesn't really know how much force he's putting into his punches? Like, he's so scared that he's just he doesn't like, he's more in like the flight situation rather than fight.
I feel like if no, I don't know, no way, because I feel like if you're in that situation, you're like more fight for your life at that moment.
Sure.
Like, there's nothing else. You can't run. It's like, I just gotta fucking get out of here.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it would maybe it just like, it could have been direction.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been the way he did it, but it just felt like they weren't like full on like swings. It's more like a
right. It could be a character thing. It could be a directing thing. It could be Chris Jericho not acting well. I don't know. Not 100% sure.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Chris Jericho.
Dude, I'd be so fucking like, it'd be insane if we put this out and like a couple days later, like something seriously happened to him. I'd be like,
Right.
God forbid.
Yeah, forbid.
But then we would be like, that would be nuts.
Yeah.
We'd be a part of like conspiracy theories.
Maybe he didn't thank Beyonce when he won the championship last time. I don't know. Art and Vicky then hop on a... Yeah, you never know. Art and Vicky then hop on a bus or a train. I forget. But they look great. That's the one thing I'm already noticing as this film progresses. It looks so damn good. Like, the makeup and the special effects look great. And I'm going to get into that more. But even that scene when they're on the train and Vicky's there and she's like... She just... The way she looks and the way Art looks, man, it just looks so grimy and real. That's one thing this movie does well too. Is it even the kills, like, everything looks really real and legitimate. It doesn't like unlike the second one, which has a part in which the clerk's head is moving and has the knife in it. It just looks fake, really fake. Even some of the special effects, very particular parts of the first movie from 2016, but. This movie looks so damn legit. They have a $2 million budget, and they had everything. And Damien had everything that he needed to make this movie look more real than his previous two.
He didn't have to be a jack of all trades. He didn't have to like focus on everything.
Now he has a team.
He's able to put his now he had a team that could focus on those specific things at a time, and he could also do like little touches here and there. So like I personally thought like a lot of the effects for the second one were pretty damn good.
Yeah.
First one, spotty.
A little bit spotty,
but
yeah.
Overall, like, great.
Yes.
But like this one, you could see the money. You could see the money in each part of the film.
Yeah.
The money was very visibly like, oh shit.
Very much so.
Should we decorate?
Very much so. Eventually, Art and Vicky are on the train, and they look great. Someone dressed as the Miles County Clown sees them, and he takes a picture of them and tells them that they killed their costumes. Nice little comedic moment.
That was wild.
Eventually, they arrive at an old house. At first, I'm like, what kind of house is this? Is this like Art the Clown's house back in the day? Is it a house in which the murders occurred? And I wasn't sure of the house.
It was weird.
Little bit.
Because they didn't specify where exactly it was. I'm guessing still within that area.
Yeah, it's
Miles
County.
It's like, it has his workbench and everything. But when you see him in Terrifier 1, he's at the workbench, then he leaves and he's in a city.
Mm-hmm.
But that didn't feel like it was part of a city. I felt like it was on the outskirts.
Right. Okay.
Like Wayne Manor.
I see what you're saying.
That's his back cave.
That's his back cave.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually they arrive at the house. Vicky goes into a dirty bathtub, slits her wrists with a broken... Okay, she has this moment where she's in the mirror and she's like looking at herself. She's like, she used to be so hot. and now she just can't stand to look at herself, and she starts like smashing the mirror with her head. And she takes a piece of glass, goes into the bath water that's just black, and then cuts her wrists vertically. And then
You pulled a Zach Bagans.
pulled the Zach Bagans. Yes, thank you. And thank you. Thank you for coming up with that because I didn't think about that. Thank you. And she starts to just has her arms there as she bleeds out. Art goes up in the attic, sits in a rocking chair, and rocks away. And basically, they enter a catatonic state, or perhaps like a state of hibernation.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're taken back into present day, 5 years later, back in the present times, back with the events of the beginning of the film. Sienna checks out of the psych ward, and she was there for like 4 or 5 years. I like how they do this. I like how she's not like Laurie Strode, where, I mean, you see her right away in number 2, and she's in the hospital. And you do see it in the newer trilogy where she has a lot of PTSD. And of course, 3, 4, 5, she's not in it at all. But, H2O,
she's not like Sydney from Scream.
Yes. She's not like Sydney from Scream where she's just kind of living fine.
Back to normal life.
Yeah.
Back to school.
Right. Thank you.
Like, slight trauma.
Right.
But, like, it's not the trauma you'd expect someone to be in who just survived, like, a mass murder.
Right.
Just kind of going back to, what's on the agenda today? Got a psych class.
So good to see you.
Sienna's been through some shit.
Yeah.
She's gone to the psych
for
ward.
like 4 or 5 years, man.
4 or 5 years she's been in that bitch.
In
She's checking out today.
Checking out today.
And she's still not good. She's not fully okay.
No. Like when we have our tier list and we have Scarred for Life and Therapy Required, she literally needs therapy for the rest of her life. For the rest of her life. But I like how they show the fact that she was in there for literally the whole entire duration between the events of 2 and 3. I do love that.
Yeah.
So her uncle checks her out, and she goes to stay at his house with his wife and Gabby, her cousin. Her cousin adores her and thinks about her a lot and basically idolizes her. The film progresses, and again, if I miss anything, just let me know. We get a scene at dinner where they're having some Chinese food, and we start to hear somebody saying, "Pass the rice." And eventually, it gets more aggressive, and we hear somebody slam on the table, and Sienna looks at her friend from the second movie who had her chest bashed in. She's all bloody. And she appears as a fragment of her imagination, but this could be demonic influence. You never know. That's the thing about this movie in particular as well. They kind of play on what's real and what's reality, and even within Sienna's character, we're not sure what she sees as reality or just PTSD. We're not quite sure necessarily, but she knows, she's admitted that she sees people from the past. So her friend basically antagonizes her, and eventually Sienna gets up and leaves the room, takes some pills. And you can see that the parents
and breaks down.
Breaks down. She breaks down a lot in these movies. And you can tell her parents are a little weary that she just got up, and you could tell, of course, they're going to be a little bit, walking on eggshells with her.
Yeah.
There is a scene in which later down the line, because again, the chronology, I kind of messed up a little bit, but we find out that Gabby reads her diary. And then, because
it's
later.
Way later, yeah.
Yeah, but essentially, like, Sienna's been journaling as a form of therapy.
She warns her after dinner.
Yeah, warns. Yeah, that's
they're helping her.
Right. They're like, she's like,
oh wait, that's before dinner.
No, I think she's like,
they help her
unpack, and she starts reading her diary a little bit.
Her childhood with her dad.
Right.
And Sienna's like,
yeah.
Dad, why don't you make female superhero? That's a lady, she's about to die though. Come on, Dad. And he's like, yeah, you're right, I've done it. I should probably do that. I'm sorry. I know I promised you. I've been a shitty dad. And she's like, yeah. And she starts walking away as a kid, and then he's like, you know what? I do have something for you. And she's like, what? She comes over, and he pulls out, like, then it doesn't show, it cuts back to her in real life with Gabby, and Gabby starts reading from the journal saying like, oh, where's the clown cafe? And I was in a case of glass and closed, and everything's so cold. And Sienna's like, get that out of your hands, you filthy bitch.
Was this
I'm
when,
screaming.
when she
I'm
sees
screaming really loud. I forgot I'm at home.
when she has that flashback? Is that before or after he starts tweaking out? Because I feel like he gives her the picture and then she grabs it.
That was after, but that's towards the end of the film.
Okay, so I'll read that later.
Because they split that up.
Right.
The first half is before dinner,
Mm-hmm.
and the second half of the flashback is like
Third
right
act.
before the end of the film. Yeah. So she yells at Gabby for reading her diary. She's like, "Get your hands off that, you damn dirty ape!" And then Gabby's like, "I'm sorry," and she's like, "You promised me you won't ever touch this or read this," and she's like, "Yeah." And Cena's like looking at her like,
Yep.
"Okay."
We'll take it from there. So at some point we see Jonathan in college. We meet his college roommate and Cole and his girlfriend Mia, who is obsessed with serial killers, so much so that her and her friend have a podcast where they discuss serial killers and their evil doings. She tries to convince Jonathan to consider going on to her podcast, but he wants nothing to do with it. She is approaching the entire Miles County clown situation totally the wrong way, as well as how she speaks to Jonathan. You instantly kind of have this unnerving want to just like take her out of the movie, but she does a great job making you hate her. So we see two workers go to inspect the house that Vicky and Art previously walked into 5 years ago. Looks like they're like looking to demolish it, I think, or at least do some work to it. But they're doing they're doing an inspection.
Demolition crew.
Yeah, so they're doing an inspection, and they split up. I'm going to go through this really fast because I can't remember really well. Maybe Nick, you could fill in the gaps. But one of them finds Vicky in the bathtub. And then this shot when he finds her, and you see all those like dark webs like draped over her. And the way her face looks, the way it looks like his previous movies. He looks towards this film grain that looks so legitimate from the 70s and the 80s. And he does it the best here.
Right. It's like Grindhouse.
Yeah. And it looks so damn good though. Like it looks like something from the 70s. Like it gave me like Evil Dead vibes. Seeing her face and these webs draped over her and the way her face looks, it really got me. I was admiring this scene because of the way it looked and how scary it looked as well.
Speaking of that scene, now that you're mentioning it, I think when she slit her wrist and went into the tub, like when she went into the tub and slit her wrist, I think that was Vicky. I don't think that was a demon. I think that was straight up Vicky.
No, it was Vicky. Yeah.
And then like I think Vicky died.
Right.
And the demon took over from that point forward.
That's good,
dude.
You might be right.
If that's what happened. That's nuts.
Because there's also the addition to that because it's mentioned later in the movie. I'll bring it up shortly, but I'll vaguely mention this note that Vicky, when she has Sienna in the chair, she's talking about how she kind of takes a corrupted body and then takes that corrupted body who went through a lot of traumatic events and then possesses it. Mm-hmm. So, one that could mean that the pale girl was real. But she wasn't. Like, I mean, you see her in the hallway with Art, and then she's not there. You see her in the laundromat with Art, but then she's not there.
Yeah.
So she's probably just a figment, like a demonic manifestation. But Nick, actually, with this theory, I could totally see that. Because when we see her again, like, her blood is in the tub. Mm-hmm. And, if Art could become, brought back from the dead, Vicky can too. Under the right demonic influence. So she's either brought back from the dead or is still in the same state and is comatose until she's brought back and has the power that Art has, or she's a vessel now possessed. Which feels like that could be it. And I'm not, that's the thing, like, there's an element of mystery within this movie that you don't know. And that's fine.
Yeah, there's still unraveling the secrets of the Terrifier universe, which is so dope.
That's a good thing that these movies do. They don't just leave you hanging with inconsistent information that doesn't lead anywhere. They give you information that is going to be shown later. Mm-hmm. Every movie that they give you, they leave you itching for more information, more lore, more questions, wanting more answers. and every film that they've released after the first one, the movie after that, they give you the answers to the questions that you had before. And even still, because he said that he could make 2 more if he wanted to. He also, Damien also said that he knows the ending. He already knows how he wants to end it. So I think they're gonna give him more money to do 2 more for sure. He's definitely gonna do a 4th one.
I heard that watching an interview with Sienna that came out this month, like a couple days ago to maybe a week. She basically said like somebody asked her about that. If there's gonna be another 1 or 2, and she's like, yeah. And she's like, yeah, it seems like Damien's trying to wrap it up with maybe the next one, the next installment, possibly. But she also was like, I'm trying to take a little break because like these films do take a really big toll on you physically and stuff. And she's like, I might do a couple of romance things before the next one, just trying to like separate myself for a little bit.
Bridge that gap.
What she's saying, it sounds like the 4th one might be the final one.
Right.
Even though we heard like rumors of a 4 and 5, I feel like the 4th, like if they do like a, I don't even know what that would be, like 4 movie. What is that even called?
I don't know, dude. Terrifier 4.
Quadality? I don't know, something like that. A quad?
Terrifier Quadromania. Quantumania.
Dude,
Quadromania. Like man, Quantumania.
Dude.
But going back to what I was mentioning, the film gives you more answers, more questions, and in a perfect way, in my opinion. It does a great job. And I'm going to talk about this more later, but the shot of Vicky in the bathtub, Nick had a good theory, but just the way that looked, that was one of the first shots that really took me into a perspective where I'm like, dang, this looks way better than the first one and the second one almost combined. Just the way he makes the film look. And I actually watched All Hallows Eve recently before today's recording. Ooh. I watched All Hallows Eve. There's a particular... All Hallows Eve is like an anthology film because a kid on Halloween gets a tape in his bag and the babysitter watches through the tape. I really like the way it ends, by the way. And it's so obvious to see that Art always had a supernatural element in mind for his character. Always had it, especially in All Hallows Eve. Did it not get around to finding the original Terrifier short, but I think it's actually in All Hallows Eve and The Ninth Circle as well. Did not watch that. What was I just saying about that?
I watched The Ninth Circle.
All Hallows Eve. What was I saying?
Supernatural.
Before that.
You watched
it. So there's a scene. There's a one part of the anthology series. They literally have that typical film grain filter that you put on and on like on any editing platform software, and it's just like those the white trickles that you see that obviously is fake that make it look like a film reel.
Dust and scratches and stuff like that.
Yeah, but it looks so fake. Like he came a long way. He's been doing that since All Hallows Eve. You know what I mean? He's been doing that for a long time. Yeah. And he finally has mastered it. I mean, it was great in 1 and 2. Like 2 looked great as well. Like the shots in the house specifically looked like it was ripped out of the 70s. Yeah. But this movie, man, it looked phenomenal. And then we see the other worker go up to Art. Go ahead. You're good.
The sound design. If you were in a good theater with good speakers, dude. Yeah. When you heard, like, I forgot what scene it was specifically, but there's, like, flies buzzing around.
Okay.
I think it might have been when they're looking at Vicky and Art in the house. You literally could hear the fly over here, a fly over there, walking in footsteps coming from here, around. Like, the sound design was fucking amazing.
They had the money to do
I was blown away by that. I was over here like, the hell is happening?
Right.
I thought there was an actual fly next to you.
Makes you more immersed
for that moment. I was like, "What the fuck is that?"
Makes you much more immersed in a film that's like this.
Exactly.
So the other one, the other worker goes and finds Art up in the attic. Art is still smiling, as he was 5 years ago. He then attacks him, and eventually Art finds the man's box cutter, slices open his scalp down the middle. He grabs the side of his scalp and then rips down his face all the way down to his neck. And man, that was crazy to see that. I'm like,
And
holy crap.
while that's happening,
Right.
Vicky has made her way to the attic with her piece of glass
The
or
same piece of
mirror,
glass, yeah.
and she's self-pleasuring
Oh man,
herself
yeah.
by
So okay,
slicing away
I
into
forgot.
herself.
Yeah, I can't believe I forgot about that when I was writing these notes. So she's watching
Dude,
this go down, and she's pleasuring herself with the same. It could have been either a knife or the
dude.
same piece of glass. I think it was the same piece of glass.
Same piece of glass.
And this reminded me of The Exorcist. And I'll say this quickly. You could be a typical moviegoer and you could watch The Exorcist and you could look at that crucifixion scene as just a horror element, a shock value. But when you look into what The Exorcist is and how deep it actually is, you go to see that the demon interpretation in The Exorcist is there to give you a very precise idea of what evil is or what it can encapsulate, what it could do to the body, how much it doesn't care and wants to bastardize the image of God. Because, demons are made in the image of God. So, like, if you look at, when she's in the crucifixion scene in The Exorcist, and specifically her dialogue as well, it's, I'll just say, like, she's basically saying, like, let Jesus F you, like, while she's doing this.
Yeah.
It reminded me of this, and like I was saying, very similarly, if you're a regular moviegoer going to see Terrifier 3 and she's doing this, you could just be like, oh, that's just shock value. But it as the movie's progressed, you can see the supernatural element increase, the evil increase, and this could just also be, just like The Exorcist, an encapsulation of evil, showing how evil and perverted of the flesh and of spirituality that this demon is showing.
And notice how the demon only wants female hosts.
Okay.
Could take any dead male host, any dead body, because there's a lot of males
Right.
that die in the
Mm-hmm.
films. Only takes the female bodies. Only takes possession of them and becomes them,
Right. That could be
or
great. Yeah.
wants to become them.
Right. Remind me to look at the notes on my phone because there's notes that I want to address regarding some movie influence. So if I forget, I'm gonna have it open here just in case. But yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to knock one out right now, or
No, I'm gonna go into it after because we'll just get through the movie and then I'll go through the notes that are on my phone. But
Gotcha.
yeah, I mean, first off, when he rips off his face down to his neck, that by itself was such a shock value. But Vicky going along with it, man,
And right after, dude, she goes, ugh.
yeah. And Art looks at her, he's like,
Naughty,
you're
naughty.
naughty. Like, you know what I mean? That's what I mean. Like, you have such a freaking horrifying scene like that, and the second later, Art just makes you laugh. After he rips down the face and skins a man, and you see what Vicky was doing, and like blood is pouring down on the floor. And thank you for that reminder because I forgot to add
You're
that.
welcome. She just looks down. She's like, I made a mess.
Yeah. So
Even to no, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I forgot how Vicky kills the other guy though. The first guy, I think she just stabs him.
She stabs him in the neck, and then she just stabs him
Right.
more.
Yeah.
That's it. She doesn't nothing too crazy.
Art and Vicky then go to a lair, and we don't know where these lairs are. It's just a mysterious lair, just like throughout the other two movies.
I think it's in the same house.
It could be in
It's
the
just
same
like
house.
another room.
Yeah, it definitely could be. Art makes a new weapon, a liquid nitrogen fire extinguisher. He tests it on a rat. It works as its entire body is frozen. Art then takes a hammer and chops up the rat a few times and tosses its corpse to the other rats. And it looks very real.
It does.
Very
I was
real.
like, oh.
Yeah, very real. That's the one thing I'm going to keep saying is that these kills look very real.
It looked like Art was like pissed off or kind of annoyed by Vicky when she was following him into the lair and she started playing with the rats and like stuff. Cause he looked at her and he looked at his hammer, and then he just kind of looked at her like.
Okay.
But then he was like kind of like. He kept back to doing what he was doing. I kind of feel like his relationship with the demon, although he's able to keep doing what he's doing, he's kind of why the fuck do I need you?
Are you sure he was like not? You sure he wasn't disgusted by the rats, or he was kind of looking at her in that kind of particular way?
It felt like it was like that. It
Okay.
felt like it was like that. I don't know if it was the rats, cause I know like no, I can't. I don't know for sure, but in the moment, just how it perceived,
Right.
felt like he looked at Vicky and was just like, "Why the fuck are you still here?"
Okay. Interesting take there. I
Cause as opposed to the little girl who would disappear every so often,
Right.
he was only like appearing once in a while.
True.
Vicky's consistently around now.
Right. Okay. Art walks down the road to the city and sees Santa Claus in a bar. He backtracks and takes a double take and freaks out. He then storms inside with excitement, and him and Santa have a conversation. Santa's kind of playing with him, and he's like, "Oh, you could obviously tell he's a character." And I think he's basically insinuating that there's probably something mentally wrong with Art. The other tenants look at him like he's crazy. Eventually, Santa buys him a drink. Art takes a swig, then blows the drink back up into Santa's face. Art, who is now sitting on Santa's lap, pees his pants onto Santa's lap, and now Santa is ticked off. Santa and the other tenants try to throw Art out, and Art proceeds to wreak havoc on the people present, using his gun to shoot everybody, leaving Santa for last. Art breaks a rule that some horror fans have that they shouldn't use a gun, but and we've discussed this in previous films. I like that he has a gun personally.
Mm-hmm.
Just let.
Oh, and call back to our last review when we mentioned it, or the first one. We did have someone comment and mention that Ghostface uses a shotgun in the last Scream movie.
Yep.
So
the only thing without that, and I commented back, I said, technically it wasn't his gun, but he does use a gun. Because the clerk pulls it from behind the counter at the shop.
Then he
goes to shoot it at Ghostface, and then eventually Ghostface gets it and uses it. So that's the only decipher there, is that it wasn't his gun that he carries around and uses for his own sake.
It's weird, because a lot of the Ghostface killers, like when they finally get unmasked, then they start whipping out guns.
Right.
They have the ability, they have the gun the whole time, I think.
But with the Scream movies, that's
until
like
the
element
mask comes off, you're like...
Because they embody the role of Ghostface. You know, they embody that role of Ghostface and goes and be a slasher until they're revealed. Like, oh, you know, axe over. Gun time.
Gun time.
So we leave Santa for last. Yeah, but like within the character...
time.
Within the character of Art, I like the fact that he uses a gun because it makes you have more disdain and hate for him as a character. And because he's cheap like that. But he's also he doesn't give a crap. He'll do it anyway, and that makes a part of his character.
It reminds me of the Joker, because the Joker's getting his ass beat. He'll whip out some stupid shit and start beating your ass with it.
It's true. So he leaves Santa for last. Santa begs for his life, removes his costume to offer Art as a sign of peace, but Art doesn't budge. He ties Santa up in a chair and uses his new nitrogen toy on him. He freezes his hands and other body parts and smashes them once frozen with a hammer. He then finishes his fun with freezing his face and smashes his frozen face with a hammer.
Because you can't be a real Santa without a real beard.
Exactly. He freezes his face and bashes in his face. And what's interesting is like you could tell that his whole face wasn't necessarily frozen. So you have the outside layers that are frozen, but then the innards, you can see like the blood still trickles out.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Ugh.
The attention to detail is crazy.
That fucked me up.
Yeah. And then he finishes his fun with detaching his beard from his face. And now becomes Art Claus. We find Santa and Gabby in the mall shopping and buying gifts. Santa and Gabby are in a store as the music in the store changes to the Clown Cafe theme song. Is this all in her head, or is it a paranormal element? What do you think? What do you think?
So for that, I wrote something down on my phones. So basically what it says is seeing Sienna and where she is as a character after Terrifier 2, having been in multiple psych wards and heavily medicated. She's now somewhat connected to Art and the demon and being able to sense them while Jonathan isn't able to.
Right. I would agree with
So
that.
she has a more of a more connection to
Right.
that realm than she might believe.
So it could be a supernatural element in which she's detecting them and she hears this sound in her mind,
Mhm.
and it's
Like a spider sense.
right, like a spider sense. And again, Damien kind of leaves you wondering what's legitimate and what's in reality and not in reality. So at first I couldn't really decipher it. I was thinking maybe this, because if you remember the second movie, there was a radio that was changing, and
Mm-hmm.
in the black van, the radio was kind of searching through the channels without anybody at the controls.
Yeah.
So I thought like, oh, this could very much actually be the Clown Cafe music playing from the speakers. But what Nick's saying, it kind of being like a spider sense, and that kind of kicks into gear because she always thinks about the Clown Cafe and being trapped there. Is even in her journal, it's revealed to us that she gets teleported back into the Clown Cafe, either in her dreams or real life.
Sienna's straight up just over here like, is this still real life? Or is this just fantasy?
On a landslide.
No escape from reality.
So we see a slow-mo shot of a man dressed as Santa wearing a Santa mask walk down the hallway with a Santa sack on his shoulder. Santa sees him in fear, her eyes tearing. This Santa Claus waves at her and walks off, and she is freaked the F out. She can't tell if it's him or not, Art, but she gets a good feeling that it's actually him. At the bottom of the mall, we see the mall Santa go on a lunch break. Art takes off his mask and decides to take advantage of the situation and plops onto Santa's chair, with his beard of flesh hanging around his neck. He calls a child over and gives them a nice gift. All the other kids notice and bum rush Art Claus. The parents look scared at the sight of Art. Eventually, they get some mall security to go escort him away. And as he's escorted away, the kids are still opening the presents. And we get a shot of one kid with a box. And once he opens up the box, a bomb goes off within the mall. And you're like, holy crap. Art reacts to the explosion with excitement. And we then see the body parts of dead children who are victims of the bombing. So we only hear in the first scene we do see an aftermath of the boy who was murdered. And now we're seeing the body parts of kids. Man, they really walk that line. And
Yeah.
what slasher uses explosives? Do you know? I couldn't think about it. I couldn't make up any characters.
I'm trying to think of a slasher that uses explosives. I want to say Chucky, but I don't know for sure, but I wouldn't put it past him. I think he might have used... I think Chucky did use explosives in, like, Chucky 3.
Okay.
Pretty sure it was Chucky 3. Because he goes to a Yeah, Chucky uses a gun and explosives in Chucky 3. He goes to a military school because Andy gets sent away to a military school.
Okay.
And it's just live rounds and all this shit everywhere. And I'm pretty sure... I'm like 80% sure that happened, that Chucky did that stuff.
Okay.
Aside from that...
On Reddit, somebody quotes Maniac.
Maniac? I don't remember Maniac too well. It's been a minute. Damn, I'm trying to think of who's used explosives as a killer. It's not common.
Someone's saying Scream 2. I don't know if that rings a bell.
Scream 2? To kill somebody?
Actually, no, that's wrong. Sorry.
What about, what was it called? What was it called? Bloody Valentine? My Bloody Valentine?
I'm looking at a page here. It's a horror wiki, essentially. Weapon, bomb. Characters who wielded or used any type of bomb explosives. Time bombs, grenades,
Ooh.
dynamites, pipe bombs. Subject 99, Bagman, apparently Jason Voorhees.
What?
Apparently.
No way.
Apparently.
Get out.
That's what this site's saying.
Nuts.
Maybe I'll have to take a gander at that. I don't know. But
Mm.
hey, that's another, I mean, Art uses explosives and guns. He really
Yeah.
is a mastercraft of horror.
You wanna know who my favorite serial murder? Well, slasher slash killer from a horror movie is?
Hmm.
Not Michael Myers anymore. Jensen Ackles.
What horror movie was he in?
My Bloody
My
Valentine.
Buddy Valentine. He was the
It's
killer.
a it's a plot twist, yeah, but
Oh dang it!
you'll forget in time.
Yeah,
You'll forget in
no,
time.
I won't.
No,
No, I won't.
but he's my favorite. He's my favorite.
Okay.
Fucking great. He's in the remake, but there is an original version
Right.
that's really good too.
What was
Such
that
good
horror
movie.
movie he was in that we watched together?
What's it called? Devour or some shit?
Yeah, it was like red. The poster was red.
Yeah. Let me look it up. I think it's called Devour. Pretty sure it's Devour. Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, back to the movie.
Let's go. Back to the Terrifier.
Now, the question is, does this movie go too far? Was
No.
the line executed well?
I think for the explosion, the bomb one, possibly crossed.
Okay.
Especially with current climate of the world, I feel like it possibly crossed.
Right. I'm kind of on board with Damien here that he really rides that line just fine. He doesn't go past it to show a kid actually being killed. But the only time we see anything that's really rash, really, is besides the things in this film, is the Ice Nine Kills music video for work of art in which he essentially...
That was insane.
And there's a pregnant woman who's played by Tara's best friend. She plays Tara's best friend in the first movie, and she plays this pregnant woman in the music video. And Art, she basically goes into labor. And Art, doesn't let her take her time and reaches in her uterus or her womb and then removes the baby. And
Rips it out.
Tosses it in a bar. A bartender catches it. But that's not directed by Damien Leone, so it doesn't really matter. But that's, I think he rides the line just fine. I don't think it goes too far. But for anybody, who's not desensitized, it's probably too far for them.
Yeah.
Sienna meets Jonathan at his college. Eventually, Mia approaches Sienna, and she kind of has like a freak out moment where she's excited to see her. She sits down without an invitation and starts berating Sienna with thoughts and questions and tells her about her podcast and how she could join in on an episode. Sienna then snaps at her, and Mia takes this totally the wrong way, takes offense to it. She then storms away. Jonathan then escapes the situation and runs off after her. I'm sorry. I think Jonathan gets up and runs away, and Sienna catches up with him.
Yeah.
He tells her what she did was wrong, but in my opinion, she had all the right in the world to kind of snap at her and to put her in her place.
No, 100%. 100%. She ran up to Sienna and saw money signs. She didn't see a person.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, you could look at Mia's character. I think she's a little too much, but I think she's played out perfectly, and she really embodies the type of insensitive person who wants to rather take advantage of somebody who's been through so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like somebody who admires a celebrity who's gone through a lot, and they are obsessed with their entire history and everything that's happened in their life, and they bring it up in front of them. It's a no-no. You don't do that. And it makes you hate her character in a good way. And she's, like Nick said previously, you want to hate her. It's just a commendable thing that she does a good job with in her character.
Mm-hmm.
So Sienna quickly tells him that she thinks she saw Art the Clown. Jonathan is trying to forget the past, as well as his theories from Terrifier 2, as he wants to forget the past, but Sienna sticks to her guns as she's forced not to forget the past, and that they are once again in danger.
We also learn that he would write her every day in the beginning when she was first sent to the hospitals. and over time he just stopped writing to her and stopped communicating with her. But he was very much theorizing and reading and learning lore on what they had been through in terms of the demonic entities and religious um, history and
Right.
lore. So he essentially came up with like a theory that might be concrete in helping her defeat the demon in art.
Right. And now he just wants to forget it, and now she's the one pressuring him about it. And he's just done with it. He's just done. He wants to move on. Okay, so it seems like Nick was saying in the past, the demon who is now possessing Vicky is the little girl, the same demon, and as the pale young girl, the demon wasn't able to get the job done with Art. Art is kind of solo, and it is manifested through the image of the little girl. But this time, after Art was defeated in Terrifier 2, perhaps the demon now possesses Vicky and is giving Art backup, physical backup. So now the demon has a physical body, a physical vessel to play with in the events of this film. Mm-hmm. So Sienna eventually tells Jonathan that she needs to go back to the Terrifier to get her sword, for at least then she will have protection. Sienna then arrives back home, her hands dirty, and has the sword, presumably the sword, wrapped up in a Christmas packing paper and hides it behind the tree. So here's the thing, right? We don't see her go back to the Terrifier, but what if it was like a deleted scene?
We do.
We don't see her back in the Terrifier to get the sword.
We don't see her go and get it, but we see her like
After.
Oh, wait, no, that's after. Yeah, that's a vision. It was a vision.
So we don't
or was
actually.
that when she visited it?
No, we don't see her go back. We don't actually see her go back to it. So I'm thinking
It's probably deleted.
So there is a talk that Damien might release a director's cut. That includes could include this scene with her actually going back to the Terrifier, but we don't actually see her in this version go back for it. She just kind of shows back up at home with her hands dirty, and the sword is wrapped up in packing paper, with Christmas packing paper.
I really can't wait. I hope they do.
Yeah, that'd be sick. I'd watch it. Gabby is noted to be a bit of a snooper. She's oftentimes snooped at gifts before Christmas, and this is prevalent and is revealed when she reads Sienna's entire journal. But she's curious about the gift that Sienna just walked in with and tells Gabby that it's for her. Art shows up at Jonathan's campus. He easily walks into a frat house where Cole and Mia are talking. Mia is ticked off at Sienna, but Cole is telling her that she's going too far and that she's in the wrong, and is being too extreme in her ways of persuasion. Art overhears this conversation and listens in. She then talks about her infatuation with serial killers, as well as Art the Clown. How the victim must feel being so close to evil like that, and wonders what it would be like to look that evil in the eyes. She states that he's the most notorious killer since Jack the Ripper, and Art kind of does this kind of like, stop.
Stop.
There's a couple of things in there that I forgot about. Maybe you remember, but of course, Cole makes a comment that she should have sex with Art, and she's like, no, I wouldn't do that. And Art's like, dang it,
forget you.
He's like, forget you.
He's like, forget you.
I don't think I can't remember any other moments when he did comedic bits in that scene, but.
Just like when she talks about all that stuff about like, oh, what he smells like, what his eyes like, what you see when you look into his eyes, and Art literally goes,
right.
Not bad.
Yeah. Later we see Cole and Mia having sex in the shower. Art walks his way over to the shower. He cranks his chainsaw a few times. Go ahead.
Taking a mean piss right beforehand. At one of the urinals in the shower.
Oh yeah, he goes and pees.
He takes a really mean piss. This shit's coming out.
Yeah.
And then he does a little leg shake, just a little jiggle,
and then just like flushes it.
And then he comes around and heads towards them.
Thank you. Yeah, I forgot about that. Thank you.
Got you, dude.
He then cranks his chainsaw a few times. Cole notices, but the chain. Oh, you know what? I'm thinking about it, like, why did the director keep that in, and like nothing? And if he did cut other things out, it's like, I don't know. It's just funny. It's just funny that he felt that that was important to keep in right before the shower scene. You know what I mean?
It makes art.
Yeah, yeah. He cranks the chainsaw a few times. Cole notices, but the chainsaw starts too late. It shatters the glass shower door down. He then goes ham on the both of them. He chops off Cole's leg with the chainsaw. He tears Mia apart. She crumbles down to the ground. She bleeds out and stares at Art, her head twitching. This scene reminded me of the bedroom scene, and it is probably, without saying, this is kind of the scene in this movie, because for every Terrifier movie, there's kind of been like the scene. In the first one, it was when her friend was upside down. And the second one was the bedroom scene. This is probably that scene for this movie.
That's what I've heard. It's like this is kind of like this is that scene for this.
And when I walked out of the theater, I really looked at it in hindsight. I'm like, I can't pick one. Like, I can't pick a scene that is kind of one over the other, because they're all so brutal in their own way. You know what I mean?
And that's
the thing.
It's low-key a problem.
Think so?
Low-key an issue. 'Cause it's not like a bad problem. It's more of like there's too many to pick from.
Right.
It's like they're all good in their own way. They're all
Right.
brutal in their own way. Which one is that? I guess if you were going in terms of length and how much he tortures people,
The bathroom scene.
that would be that scene.
Right.
Yeah, that would be that scene.
In the shower.
Yeah. But like you're saying, yeah, he goes in, starts cutting up Cole, cuts his fingers off, cuts his fucking leg off, and then he starts tearing into Mia, getting her in the chest, top of her head, part of her face, and all that stuff.
Yeah, so the scene when she's like twitching, her head's kind of twitching when she's on the ground, and it's kind of like going like this. That reminded me of the bedroom of the bedroom scene when
100%.
when her mom walks in and she kind of turns her head and like sees her. It reminded me just like that. And once again, it looks so real. I mean, listen, I've never seen this in person, so I couldn't tell you if it is real or not, or how accurate it is to, you know, how the body would function once in this sort of trauma. But the amount of realism that scene has, like the bedroom scene in Terrifier 2, it just makes it go like, it just kind of makes you, it just makes you like be like, damn, like this is. I can't really explain it.
Sends chills.
Yeah, like just the way that her head is moving, it's so unnerving, you know.
Yeah.
It reminded me immediately of that bedroom scene, and it looked great. So she's looking at Art. Art basically squats down, takes off his sunglasses, widens his eyes, and looks deeply. I think it goes like this, or I forget, but he like widens his eyes.
Like, gives her a big smile, and like, looks her in the eyes.
Looks really big at her. Allows her to look deeply into the eyes of evil, like she wanted. He then gives her his glasses he was wearing and puts it on Mia. And makes his way over to Cole, who can't walk.
Right before he goes to Cole, he finishes her up and like cuts her more into little bits and pieces, and she's screaming even more.
Yeah?
And then and then he walks over to Cole right after that.
Huh.
It was brutal.
He walks over to Cole, who can't walk away due to only having one leg, and he's in brutal pain as well. He's basically just screaming at her the whole time and like worried about her. Just, you know, horrified. He pulls Cole's other leg and lays him face down. He takes the chainsaw, puts it up to his butt crack, and then proceeds to cut Cole in half, all the way from the testicles to his head. Yeah. After Art finishes his work, he makes his way over to the pool of blood on the floor, lays down, and makes blood angels.
That fucking got me, dude.
I forgot what song plays here, but they trickle in some Christmas music, you know, throughout the movie.
I think it's like a Terrifier Christmas or something like that.
I think was that it? Terrifier Christmas?
I think it was like a Terrifier Christmas.
Right. So like the second movie had the Clown Cafe. This one has Terrifier Christmas. Back at Gia's house. It wasn't Gia. It was Gabby's house. Sorry. Her father catches the news of the bombing in the mall. Sienna immediately thinks it's Art and freaks the F out. She's literally like having a huge attack and she's flipping out. It's very I would say it's very, very real to how it would look in modern in actual reality. You know, I've seen people have a breakdown. You know, girls as well. So it looked similar. That's what I'll say. I
saw a soldier have a PTSD like moment.
Yeah.
I don't know if you recall the moment or an episode. Yeah, it's like a returned veteran, and I forgot what was happening. Something made a loud noise in the sky, and he saw like it wasn't a firework, but he saw it for a split second. And he went from standing straight up, like walking out of a building, to going like,
right.
And then like after it passed, he was like, oh, okay,
right.
I was like, holy shit.
Sienna freaks out. She basically snaps and says that they're all in danger, and that she needs to get on the phone with Jonathan to warn him and bring him over to the house. Gia's parents are reluctant at first, but they call Jonathan. They give her the phone, and the uncle tells her that he will go pick him up. Uncle Greg goes to get Jonathan. Sienna eventually makes her way back to bed and falls asleep. Earlier in the film, we get a sequence, like we were talking about. Sienna has this flashback. This time, when she sleeps, she gets kind of teleported back into this dream sequence. But this time, it's a legitimate dream sequence. And, she's looking at the comic that he made for her. And one thing I noticed was when they showed her, she had a flaming sword.
Yeah. Like Michael.
Yeah, so it kind of reminds you of Michael the Archangel. It reminds you of her repelling the fire from Art's torch in her dream sequence in Terrifier 2. But also there is a kind of like I think dichotomy is the word for it, but there's an imagery in which in Revelation Christ comes back with a sword from his mouth. It's a sword of judgment. But also there's an imagery of the sword being lit aflame. The sword's properties don't get changed, but now it has a bigger property to it with the flames. And that's supposed to kind of give you the two natures of Christ. Christ is both man and God. And he is the sword, but also the fire doesn't change the essence of the sword, but it is different apart from the sword itself, but kind of makes it like a stronger weapon. So it's something I learned in school. And it's a way to describe the duality of Jesus Christ's this duality of being divine but also man, so I thought about that immediately, and I thought it was, so much of there's bits of the second film and bits of this one especially that they have Christian imagery, very much so in this movie, but that caught my eye because it's presented, especially in the second film, that, Art is this evil, let's just say that it's a fallen angel being and element in which then the universe or God balances out the evil by creating somebody who's going to defeat the evil. And that's where, go ahead. You're good.
The second film, it's like resurrected. Isn't she stabbed like kind of in the same place where like Jesus was like speared?
Not really. It was kind of like in the middle of her, like right above her belly button.
It was in the middle?
Yeah.
I thought it was on the side.
No, it was like it was the middle.
Cause I'm like, that shit glowed. I remember it glowed.
It did when she got resurrected. Yeah. But with this scene, she grabs the paper and then he starts to spaz out. And let me find this one more time.
I think he had like visions of the whole future and everything.
Yes. So your idea from the second film is coming to light here. It's the same image that she grabs onto that's pretty much in his sketchbook that Jonathan would have. Sienna's father kind of snaps and starts to shake. His eyes are empty. Little Sienna freaks out at first too, and you see a door in her father's room start to glow red around the cracks, kind of showing this is like a portal is emerging, like we saw in the second film.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's teleported into a place outdoors, and she's an adult. And it's dark, and it's black. We see a hammer hitting metal. And we see what seems to be the Theotokos, the Virgin Mary, staring at what seems to be a demon creature of sorts. The demon is slamming away at a piece of metal into sword. So she's hammering a piece of metal into sword, yes. And we notice that this is Sienna's sword. It's being made. And we see other pieces of metal armor, like Sienna's armor from Terrifier 2 that was sketched out in her father's book. And this is very identical to the armor that she wears. And then Mary turns her statue-like head at Sienna. The demon creature as well notices her and screams at Sienna in a wild rage and anger. Mary then turns back to the demon creature, pulls his chain tight again around his throat, and the demon creature goes back to work. Then Sienna wakes up. So I was really kind of... Go ahead. No, you're good. You go first.
When they're holding the paper and the drawing of future Sienna, technically, we do get flashes of all of Terrifier 2, even Terrifier 3, a little bit of Terrifier 3 too.
Specifically when she's getting whipped and stuff by Art.
And like, yeah, a lot of her future, we get a lot of like I think
her turmoil.
It was her father was getting all of that,
yes,
all those visions of what was to come.
Right.
And that's why, like, in this film, they're basically like, oh, you're preparing me for this. This is what he was like.
Right.
And all that stuff.
It's answering the questions back from the second film that, and Nick kind of had it spot on. Like, his father was basically seeing into the future. And this is a literal scene of him seeing into the future.
You're psychic.
He kind of has, like, this bridge. Like, the paper kind of works as a bridge from him to her, and then it shows him the images. And this could be, like, demonic influence kind of making him fear the future, and he knows he has to eventually, he kind of figures out he's seeing these things, and he unintentionally kind of aids his kids. But Nick's right, he kind of called that from the last movie that he kind of can see the future. But with this scene with Mary, the Virgin Mary, you could tell this is kind of like a evil underworld. There's this element of Mary, this image of her as kind of like a statue, and she's literally subduing this demon creature to make her armor. And it's very, I really can't explain this into words like the way I feel and register it in my brain. But you could definitely take it as this rotten image of Mary who's being shown. I mean, that's the thing. It's like you could take it as a rotten way, but I see it in a sense where this holy being is subduing an evil being to do the work as punishment. And we know God can be a punishing God, but he's in totality, he's not. We have the flood that happened, and it's a very strong, dominant image of God holding his dominion over the demons and literally making the demon do the dirty work to make the Valkyrie armor for the one who's going to defeat this evil that is now in Art in the first place. And that's why he sees her and he's so angry because my perception is like he knows what her role is later in life.
Yeah.
We know
savior.
The savior of this particular aspect of the world. And, Mary just whips him back into shape. It's like, all right, stop. You go back to work. But the way I
know your place.
Yeah, know your place. Like I said, I can't properly explain. Maybe at the end I could better my words with it. But it's an image of not God necessarily, because it's an image of Mary, but as a whole, it's an image of God, holding his dominion over the heads of the demons, almost in a mockery, making the demons do the dirty work for him. And I thought it was very powerful.
No, yeah, it was sick.
That's what I thought. I thought it was pretty sick. If that is kind of what Damien was going for, I thought that was awesome.
No, hell yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was sitting there, and as soon as I saw that, I was like, get out.
Right.
I was like, get the fuck out. Because, like, when I think in, like, trailers or anything, like, anything they showed, it was cropped, so you only saw the demon.
Yep.
I don't think you saw, like, the Virgin Mary in any of the other trailers. But, like, when I saw it, I was like, dude, no way they did this. I was like, no
Yeah.
fucking way Damien said, no, we're not just gonna reference Michael the Archangel and all that stuff. This is actually it. This is what's happening. This is
Right.
what's going down.
Mm-hmm.
So, seeing that, and, like, I saw, like, the way she was, like, portrayed in the film as the statue with, like, the cracks in the neck and stuff like that, I'm like, it makes sense for me, because it's like, in a lot of things, even, like, in real world, like, a lot of people say, like, statues would, like, move, or they would bleed, or they would, like, cry,
That's true.
and it's like, it's cool to see that in like, done in this kind of way, because it's kind of still keeping in the realm of reality.
Mm-hmm.
To some people it's not reality, but some, like, others it is. And seeing that, like, no matter what kind of form or shape they have to take, they're coming down from up there
Right.
and
Because angels
taking
have
that
to put
form
on
and
some form.
taking on that form and still doing the work that needs to be done to better prepare us for our battles.
Right.
In this case, Sienna's battle with evil.
Yeah, I like that interpretation. That makes a lot of sense. Proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I would say I agree with that. Because angels when they come down, even in the Old Testament and the New Testament, they embody an image like a human being, like we've seen in the Bible, and I would say that Nick could be probably very much accurate to the imagery that we see in the scene of Mary as a statue, and Nick making the connection with the statue and mysteries and miracles happening with statues. It makes a lot of sense to me. It's good on you, Nick, for that one. That's good. And I really like this scene. I thought it was very powerful. And I can't wait to talk about the end. So I'm going to keep going.
I was sick.
So she wakes up from her dream, makes her way downstairs, and Sienna sees Art and Vicky. Vicky is wearing a crown of thorns. Art has her uncle posted up on the wall, decapitated with his arms outstretched like Christ on the cross. Art is basically mocking the crucifixion of Christ with his own arms, and Vicky, he basically like imitates and like mocks him specifically. And this is the reason why I like this is because it really is just demonic entities mocking God, and it's just a kind of like ball of that, you know.
Blatantly good and evil now. We're blatantly getting it.
We're
like
blatantly,
Damien's like,
yes.
Damien's like, we're not sugarcoating it. It's good versus evil, y'all.
Yes. It's it's a legit mockery against them. In the previous scene, we see Mary possibly in the depths of hell. Man, it's just good stuff. I mean, at first, like I was like, okay, this is weird. How are they gonna go into this? But the reason why when I saw this for the first time, I was like, okay, this sucks because movies and celebrities and songs, they denounce Christ and mock him in many ways, shapes, and forms. But due to how these movies have been going and watching them in the past 2 weeks, I didn't have that thought necessarily the first time. And when I saw this for the first time, I didn't think that right away. I'm like, okay, let me see what happens here. Vicky cries out in fear. Art is putting up Christmas decorations with Uncle Greg's intestines. Aunt Jess is tied up in a chair. They incapacitate Sienna and tie her up to a chair facing her aunt. In the middle of them is a present. Sienna wonders where Gia is, and it's revealed that the present in between them is a skull.
Gabby?
Sorry, Gabby. Thank you very much.
Got you.
Correct me whenever I'm wrong, please. I'd appreciate that. So,
got you.
They wonder where Gabby is, and then Art lifts the wrapper off the present in the middle of them, and it's a skull covered in rats who are eating away at the flesh of the skull, insinuating that it's Gabby. Sienna freaks out with her aunt, thinking that Gabby is dead. Art and Vicky go to finish off Aunt Jess. She tells Sienna that she loves her.
Art to murder them and make them suffer.
Yeah, yes, thank you. To murder them and make them suffer. Art stuffs a plastic pipage forcefully into Aunt Jess's mouth and throat. At this part, at this point in time, I already knew it was coming. He places rats in the tube, brings the torch up to the top of the tube, the entrance, and the cats scurry down on Jess's throat, down into her body, killing her.
The rats.
I actually think this scene wasn't like the most difficult for me. I thought it was like
It was
most simple.
for me. It was when he hammered it in. That's
Right.
when it got me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
With the rats and stuff, I was like, okay, it's fine. Whatever.
Yeah, that makes sense. I agree.
Cause you've seen the rat thing once, you've seen it twice.
That's-
You've
yeah.
seen it a bunch of times.
Yeah, literally. There was another movie that did that. I forget what it was.
Was it Saw?
No,
It's one of the Saws. Had to be a Saw movie.
it's not. Maybe. There's a scene in which somebody places a bowl over rats, and then, Fast and Furious 2. So Fast and
Really?
Furious. There's a scene where they put rats on a guy and then put a bowl, like a metal bowl over him, and heat up the bowl and just burrowing into his skin to make him talk, essentially.
Too Fast, Too Furious.
I think so. Yeah. Look it up real quick.
That's fucking nuts for a Fast and Furious movie, dude.
Yep, rat in
Just pull
the
up
bucket
with your
scene. Yep.
Dude, that's nuts.
Mm-hmm. They're trying to make him talk or something.
It's insane.
Yeah.
You know who me and who we think would be a good like art for Halloween? Michael.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it.
You can see it.
Do it. He has
Do
to
it, Mike.
watch all the movies first to encapsulate him to the fullest extent. Maybe I'll watch the third one with him once it comes out.
Dude.
And I buy it on 4K.
Dude, didn't I give you the second on 4K?
Did you?
I think so.
I'll
I
take-
have the collector's edition.
Nice. I'll take a look.
So I have the Blu-ray version.
I'm low-key gonna wait until all of them are released and get the box set. To be honest.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's gonna be sick. I can't wait to
That's
see
gonna be
what
dope.
art they put on that. No pun intended.
It's gonna be cool.
So Vicky kind of takes the reins here and kind of becomes the mouthpiece for her in art. She kind of like has art in the background, and I'm kind of wondering at this point, like, is she taking over too much for art? And you could make that argument that she's being a little bit too much of a mouthpiece and being too much of like a key character here. That she's, I mean, obviously art is the antagonist, but now she's kind of making herself into as another antagonist, like a cold role with art.
Yeah.
You know, she's kind of surpassing him here a little bit. And I could totally understand if somebody sees that for sure. I really can see that. Eventually, she places the crown of thorns on Sienna's head. Like everything else, this looks very realistic. And I like this because it literally goes to show you what Damien's trying to get you to know in the first place, and is that she's the savior of this story. He's making it very obvious right now for us that she is the savior by putting... Go ahead. You have an idea?
She was impaled.
She's impaled,
She was whipped.
right?
She was whipped, and
Yeah.
now she's wearing a
Crown of thorns.
crown of thorns.
And she resurrected.
And she was resurrected. We just haven't seen her carry like something super heavy. I don't think.
I don't think so.
I don't think.
But you're
Not
right.
yet.
You're totally right. Yes.
Dude, that's
Like Nick was saying, like, okay, he's like, Damien's like, okay, guys, this is it. It's good versus evil. I'm putting it literally on the line right now. I got a guy hung up.
He's like, if I didn't show you before
Yeah.
in part 2, you're gonna know now.
Yes. And her being placed with the crown of thorns, it literally brought me back to Passion of the Christ for a moment. Because like it looks so real, and like, man, they're making the symbology so prevalent right now, and I appreciated it. You know, where my sister and her boyfriend didn't like it at first because, you know, like I mentioned with modern Hollywood and
They thought it was like a mocking of.
yes, but I've explained to them my perspective. Vicky wants to take everything good away from Sienna's life so that she's beaten down to nothing in order for this demon to possess Sienna herself. And this is also like a mocking towards God because she wants this vessel of God who's going to be the savior, and she wants to just corrupt it and demolish it and possess it and to show God that he didn't succeed. She grabs Vicky by the throat. Her eyes glow yellow, and the theatrics begin. We got wind. We got noises.
Grab Sienna by the throat.
Grab Sienna by the throat. Thank you.
Got you.
Sienna's face shifts and changes. Her eyes grow yellow. She screams. And the evil almost...
They look like they turn white, too.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it does turn white. It turns white first, then yellow. Like she's about to be possessed.
It's insane.
But she fights it off. And honestly, I was kind of shocked about how good this was. Because I feel like the majority of horror movies, when they go this route, it doesn't look good.
They Hollywoodify it.
Yeah. And Vicky has that demonic voice throughout the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounded good. It wasn't too overdone. It was at a level... Yeah, go ahead.
It wasn't like... I was like...
Yeah.
Super chill.
It wasn't just obvious audible editing that was so overdone like The Exorcist Believer. You know? Of course, the original Exorcist did it so well because they actually had a woman who was a previous smoker and alcoholic to drink a lot, to drink raw eggs, and to chain smoke, and they tied her to a chair and made her talk and put a microphone up to her. But this time, of course, they're, that's just being practical, and that probably wouldn't be done too much nowadays. I think her demonic voice sounds fine. I think it works. It wasn't distracting in any way, shape, or form to me. It worked. He pulled it off, in my opinion. And like I said, when she's getting possessed in that very moment, or Vicky's trying to possess her, the way her face shifts and kind of morphs, I thought it looked kind of cool. You know what I mean? I thought it looked cool myself when her face was shifting. I didn't think it was overdone at all. Her white,
no, definitely not.
The eyes going white, it going yellow. I think the CGI was good. And finally, you have, other than the pumpkin, the jack-o'-lantern in Terrifier 1, I think this is like one of the only times he's actually used CGI.
Yeah, like noticeable amount.
Yeah, but I haven't seen anything
amount.
like he uses practical effects for everything.
Terrifier 1 with the head.
That's it. Just with the jack-o'-lantern. That's it. But this one, he utilizes the money to his disposal and makes it look really good. I mean, like I said, Damien Leone is a horror fan. That's prevalent, and I'm going to get into that a little more. But he knows what bad possessing looks like. I guess that's the way you can say it. He knows how it looks in a bad execution, and he knows how it looks executed well. And he executes this well himself. I think everything that he does in his Terrifier movies, he makes sure it looks good.
True.
She's then she's then asking for Jonathan, but then Vicky then reveals that the skull wasn't Gabby's, it was Jonathan's. As Art puts Jonathan's glasses on his skull, and Vicky brings out Gabby. So how do you feel about Jonathan's demise here? Because we don't see him.
I don't think he's dead.
You don't think he's dead?
I hope it's like the Cole's head, because we don't see him die, and demons are deceivers.
Mm-hmm.
So even if they have the glasses,
right,
doesn't mean necessarily that it's him. I would hope that in the part 4, it's revealed that Jonathan's like actually alive somehow, and he escaped narrowly escaped.
Or they took him.
No.
Yeah, that wouldn't make sense.
One of the two, either one.
Yeah.
But they were able to get the glasses, and
right.
they're like, okay, well, this works.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
they did it with Gabby.
I was just about to say that. Yep, they did it with Gabby. Yep.
They did it with Gabby. So I'm hoping, dude, because he didn't get a lot of stuff to do in this film. He just,
Yeah.
I want him to have more. I want him to develop more.
Right. That makes
like
sense.
Sienna.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally understand that.
I hope he's not dead, but yeah, I agree with you. CGI in this film is a little bit more than the first two. It was done a little bit in the first two films, but not to this extent.
I don't think it was done at all in the first film.
The first film, they remember that you even said as a fun fact, they added the head, the pump.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm thinking Terrifier 2. Sorry.
You're good. You're good. And the second one they did it with like the glowing sword effect, the healing effect, and
True.
resurrection.
True.
But for this one, I feel like the way they're doing it, it just works well.
Mm-hmm.
Cause like you could have really polished, really modern looking VFX, which is like what we expect to see nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do like 80s style VFX in your modern day films, and you have a grindhouse looking film or a 70s looking film, it's gonna look fucking beautiful.
They look great.
And I and it looks so and it fits. It
Fits
works
well.
well. You don't question it. You're like, oh, dude, something's happening. And that's like legitimately what happened with Terrifier 2 when the sword starts glowing, Sienna starts glowing. It has 80s type of like
Mm-hmm.
effects, and
Very
you're
much
not over
so.
here like that looks fake, that looks stupid. You're like, no, this fits for the universe that it's in.
Right. You're not wrong. I agree. 100%.
What are your
100%.
thoughts
Jonathan?
on Jonathan?
I mean, I think that there wouldn't be a surprise if they showed him being killed. The whole point was the shock factor.
Yeah.
People were genuinely surprised to know that he was killed and that was his skull the whole time. And I don't know. I mean, if there was a deleted scene, maybe we'll see it in a director's cut. You never know.
Oh.
You never know. But they can't show him being killed because that would ruin the shock factor. Instead of it being a shock factor to us and Sienna, it would only then be a shock factor to Sienna and not us. So it's kind of up in the air for me. I'm not sure how I feel about it in totality, but it works.
Mm-hmm.
I just also wish to have seen more of him like you do.
Yeah. I honestly, just backtracking a little bit, I thought when she woke up from the dream officially and she went downstairs and saw
Yeah.
Vicky in the art costume and the crown, I thought that was a whole dream sequence.
Me too.
Though.
I did at first
I
too.
thought it was continuing like the whole fight scene and
Mm-hmm.
her getting thrown into the table. I thought that was all
No, I'm with you there.
dream.
I'm with you there. Because even in the
It
dream
took me.
sequence, like you think you realize it's a dream once he pulls up to Jonathan's dorm or whatever, and he hears something on the phone that sounds like a demon, and then she wakes
Yeah.
up, and then so it's like, oh, that was fake. Okay, whew. And then she goes makes her way downstairs and she sees this, like, oh, are we still in the dream or not? I literally had that thought too. I thought the same
Yeah,
thing.
I was. It was hard to tell the difference between the two things.
Yeah, it was really when she
And
becomes incapacitated and she wakes up in the chair. That's like when I was like, okay,
you're
this
like,
is
oh
for real.
shit, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
fuck, that actually happened.
Yep. So Sienna begs for Gabby's life and tells them to take her instead of Gabby. Gabby says something
Once they
around the
reveal
line.
she's alive.
Yeah. Gabby says something around the line of, but I didn't give her my present, or I didn't get to give her my present. Vicky asks Sienna if she would like to open Gabby's present, and Sienna says yes. So smart. Gabby's a smart girl.
She's smart.
First, Art crushes Sienna's hands with a hammer. Gabby then brings the present to Sienna. I think maybe Vicky did it, but she asks like which one is it, and she has the one behind the tree. Takes it, gives it to Sienna. Sienna takes it, struggles to open the present with her hands trembling in pain.
Yeah.
She unveils the
And
sword. What's up?
Art still beats her with the hammer while she's trying to open it.
There's also the scene when she walks behind Sienna and he comes back. She like slaps her in the back of the head.
Yeah, Art would just walk away, go
Yeah,
do
just
something,
come
and he'd
back,
come back and be
just
like,
smack her in the head.
dude, we were dying in the theater every
Yeah.
time that happened. We just started dying.
It's hilarious.
But you don't need to do that, dude.
I know. He's just like, what the? And it sounded like really poignant.
Oh.
Yeah. So she unveils the sword, slices Art's neck, cuts the rope free, and throws the sword into Vicky's chest. Pretty badass, man. Hey, listen. The actress who plays Sienna is professionally trained in multiple forms of martial arts and all the stunts she does herself. She kicks ass. She is really she is really one of the most perfect final girls we've ever seen.
She is perfect.
Yeah, I know you love her. She's your number one now, which is crazy to hear.
She's my number one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm planning on meeting her at a convention.
That'd be cool.
And I'm gonna slide her our like YouTube channel like on a card and be like, hey, what you want to do an interview, bro? Thanks so much. But like, please. She has a YouTube channel,
That's cool.
but it's been inactive for like since she blew up.
Right. I actually
But
saw her do an interview on a channel that only had like 1.6 thousand subscribers. So
there's hope.
I mean, guys, if you're watching right now, we've only had this channel open for like 3 months now, and we're doing pretty good. Doing pretty good for this early on. But that'll be awesome to get.
Uno momento. Oh, I just gotta turn off my camera for a split second. Okay. Okay. No, you're okay. Sick.
We good?
Ah, fuck yeah.
Alright.
Volume all the way up.
Alright.
Felt like I was in that THX sound thing for a second.
Eventually, she gets her sword back from Vicky's chest, and it's once again art versus. I can't talk today, I guess.
Ooh.
What's up?
Yeah, she pulls it out of her chest, and then she's like, how does this taste? She shoves it in her mouth, and then she cuts her head off. Decapitates her.
Right. Yeah.
And then she goes and fights Art while
Yeah.
the body starts like liquidly decomposing and stuff.
Yes. So
Liquefying.
it's Sienna versus Art at first, and then Vicky joins back in, but is decapitated by Sienna. Her yellow eye grows dark, or it starts to dim. She turns to face Art, and they fight again. We get shots of Vicky's melting corpse within the fight. Sienna stabs Art in the chest, raises the sword for the kill until Vicky's blood opens up a portal downward into the ground. Kind of like in Terrifier 2, but much more vicious. It's literally like a pit to hell, it seems like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gabby is pulled into the portal, but holds onto a ledge. Sienna stops her attack on Art and goes to save Gabby. She lowers the backside of the sword to Gabby. Gabby grabs it. Sienna holds onto the blade side of the sword with all of Gabby's weight. Her hands get real cut up, blood spurting from her hands. Eventually, Gabby, and this could be overdone easily, like the blood spurting, but I feel like it was done just enough to make it poignant enough for this kind of a horror movie.
Yeah.
Eventually, Gabby and the sword slip from Sienna's hands, and they fall into the portal. And you're just like, oh, crap. The portal closes. Sienna goes to face Art, but he's disappeared. A window left open in his wake. Sienna inspects her hands, and they heal. And there's a apparently I think it was in the second film, something was said like or something was said in one of the movies in which the sword can't harm her.
Yeah.
You can't do damage to her. So like it cut her, but
That
then
was,
eventually it healed.
Yeah, I think it was this film maybe.
Okay.
Where they're talking about it. I think it was when they were talking in the church about it.
Okay. But I like when her hands healed because to me it was like God just continues to heal her. And she was resurrected.
Yeah, when I saw that.
Yeah. Right.
Deep-ass slashes,
Yeah.
and then you could see it too. It wasn't like a fade.
No.
Like some movies do. It was like literally closed up. And I was like, dude, that's so dope.
Yeah, I like it. And to me, it's literally just God or an angel performing a miracle on her, like saying, "It's like you still have work to do. Like I'm still here, looking over you."
Yeah.
We then see Art at a bus stop. He's just solemnly sitting there, defeated. Good shot too. What's up?
I like right after her hands heal and she's seeing like Art's escaped out the window. Gabby's been sucked into the netherworld. Sienna's just sitting there like defeated, essentially. No blade, no family, nothing. And she's just like, you just hear her whisper, like you don't see her face, but you just hear her under her breath. She goes, I'm coming to get you, like Gabby. I'm coming to get you.
Right. Yeah. I think that was added in after.
So sick.
Yeah, but still.
So sick.
Like,
but yeah, Art at the bus stop.
Art's at the bus stop. Nice little shot of him waiting, just in defeat. He gets on the bus and we see a woman reading a book called The Ninth Circle and discusses with the bus driver about the book. The book being about Art the Clown and his massacres. Art sits in front of her. She looks up from her book, notices him. With no expression, he raises his horn slowly, smiles, and honks his horn. Cuts to black.
Can I just say, dude, his face when he's sitting there, just sitting
No
there,
expression.
his expression, the scariest a horror villain's looked. And then when he just raises his horn and like does the thing,
It's like
he's genuinely one of the scariest
Yeah.
like horror villains in a
100%.
minute.
I agree.
In a minute, David Howard Thornton needs some kind of award, Fangoria maybe, because like, just he doesn't look like he's alive. He looks like he's like a
Monster.
fake mannequin prosthetic, and then he moves, and you're like, oh,
Right.
it's scary.
I mean, you know, I dislike the Oscars immensely, as well as the Grammys. It's just, it's not even honest stuff at this point. But like, they gotta make it
They're rigged.
They gotta like make an element for horror.
That's why we have Fangoria, dude. Fangoria is out here giving awards to the horror people.
There you go.
I think it's Fangoria.
So, I say we get into some fun facts, then we'll kind of give some closing remarks. How do you feel about that?
I'm good. Yeah.
All right, cool. Director Damien Leone said that several big studios showed interest in financing this movie based on the unexpected success of Terrifier 2, even without a full script. But he turned them all down because he was certain that they would never let him film the opening scene alone, which he describes as, quote, very controversial. Leone commented that this is the only reason that he can be so uncompromising in his depiction of horror and gore is because he finances his own movies independently, creates all the special effects himself to keep costs down, and has no big studio breathing down his neck to make the movie more mainstream. Beautiful.
Good shit.
I love Damien Leone.
There's no agenda back there.
Yep. If there is one, it's a good one.
No, that's facts. Yeah. Dude, we gotta. Oh, dude, it'd be so sick if we could interview him.
That'd be sick, yeah.
I have no idea what I would ask him though.
I know, right? We'd make yeah. When making Terrifier 1 and 2, Damien Leone has stated in interviews that the crew consisted of only 5 to 10 people, depending on the day, with crew members working every position possible. For Terrifier 3, there was over 50 people on set every day, with dedicated crew departments.
Holy shit.
He had crews, he had departments, and before he never did.
Oh, how the turntables.
This is the second film unrated by the MPA to open #1 at the domestic box office in the 21st century, after Renaissance, a film by Beyonce.
I think it surpassed that.
Did it?
Yeah.
Good.
Just recently.
Good.
Let me check. I want to make sure that's true. Let me see.
Yeah, man. All right.
Yeah, I'm not
That's
saying
fine.
it, but
You know,
if I do find it, I'll
yeah.
let you know.
This is the first horror film since Saw 3 to receive the 18 rating in France, essentially meaning no one under 18 can be admitted, which is equivalent to the NC-17 in the US.
Damn.
It's pretty wild.
That's insane.
This is the first film in the series to not feature special effects makeup done by Damien Leone himself. In one scene, a woman is seen reading a book called The Ninth Circle by an author called Rosemary Castavetti. This is a reference to both the original film where Art the Clown first appeared, The Ninth Circle, 2008, and Rosemary's Baby, 1968, which features the titular character Rosemary, and also characters with the surname Castavetti. I caught that, yeah.
It's the second unrated film to open #1, like you said, because there's already one film that already opened up as #1, so there cannot be another #1.
Right.
But it's made more money than Beyonce's Renaissance.
Nice.
It's
Good to
pretty
hear.
sick.
Clint Howard is in this film and also featured in Silent Night, Deadly Night 4, Initiation, and Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, The Toymaker, which features a slasher killer dressed as Santa Claus, something this film pays homage to. Damien Leone said in several interviews that the Christmas theme was directly influenced by the 1972 film and 1989 TV series adaptations of Tales from Crypt. Both featured a story called And All Through the House, about a mental patient dressed as Santa on a killing spree. This is Leone's favorite version of Killer Santa, and the cold open of Terrifier 3 is an homage to it. Distributor Cineverse had only one request, and that was to make the film under 2 hours long, like we've stated before. Damien Leone, who served as his own editor, again recalled ripping out pages while filming to make the film shorter, realizing it would be too damn long and not to have time to film the scenes. The ending was much longer, and was cut down actually, despite trying his best to meet this request. Damien submitted his final edit at 2 hours and 5 minutes. So I originally thought it was exactly 2 hours, but I guess with the credits it's 5. This is the first Terrifier movie in the franchise to be filmed on an anamorphic lens.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
Explain what an anamorphic lens is, Nick.
So an anamorphic lens, essentially, most cameras you'll get like that wide. As soon as it's right at the camera, it looks exactly how you recorded it. When you shoot anamorphic, it's essentially like compressing that image into like a little cube. So then when you have to stretch it back out, you get that ultra wide that you see in a lot of films, and that also will be why you see like the lens flares being so much longer. I believe. And the bokeh effect for the anamorphic is a lot more like diamond shaped.
Mm-hmm.
Or what's the word? Not diamond, but oval shaped, as opposed to normal lenses where they're round,
perfect circle,
sphere, like perfect circles. So a majority of films, if you look at the bokeh or the blurry background, if you look at lights and you see them as that oval shape, it's majority of the time it's going to be anamorphic. Or if you see those big lens flares or lens glares,
Zack Snyder,
that really long streaks. Yep, Zack Snyder's, J.J. Abrams.
J.J.
Those
Abrams
will be anamorphic.
Thank you. Appreciate that, brother.
Pretty insane.
This movie outgrossed Terrifier 2 within its first weekend.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
It's nuts.
Damien Leone stated in an interview that it took 6 years to make Terrifier 2, as him and his producer Phil Falcone were doing every job on the production and underestimated how ambitious it would become to complete. So with Terrifier 3, Damien faced a new challenge of writing and completing production within a single year to meet the release date. The production barely made it on time for its September premiere at Fantastic Fest. Check out this one. Listen to this one.
Okay.
Frank Stallone was in talks to play Jesus, but turned it down.
No way.
Thank God.
Oh my gosh.
Thank God he did not take that role. That would have been a little too much for me. I don't know what they would have done with that. Maybe it would have been the Image Down in Hell, maybe. But I'm glad that wasn't done.
Yeah.
That would have been way too much for me. Just for their film. Just for the film, you know.
Bring back Jim Caviezel. Caviezel.
Several homages from classic horror films were in this film, including Art's face through the hole in the white door for The Shining. The window Art is sitting by in the rocking chair is the same shape as the famous Amityville window, and also the shower scene for Psycho. Yeah. Legendary makeup artist John Caglione Jr., most famous for working on The Dark Knight's Joker makeup, told Damien Leone he was a fan of Terrifier 1 and 2 and offered to work on the film, which Leone quickly accepted. That's awesome.
Oh, that's so dope.
More Joker stuff, man.
That's sick.
I'm sure David was really excited about that.
So can you do me next?
Two distribution sources noted that DreamWorks Animation and Universal's The Wild Robot saw a noticeable bump and speculate that teenagers and young teens bought tickets to that film and then snuck into Terrifier 3.
That literally happened at my showing.
Yeah. I'm sure that
Two
happened.
teens bought tickets. They left, came back, like towards the maybe around the because we were late, like a little bit, maybe like a minute or two before into the movie,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't miss anything, but like a minute or two late. And then not right before the killing started happening, two teens walked in. The teens that had left earlier.
Right.
And they sat down. And I was just like,
Yep.
and they were respectful too. They were respectful teens. They didn't fucking make noise or
Right.
anything. They sat
Just wanted
there.
to see the movie.
And I was like, I literally looked at them from above. I was like, thank you. Thank you.
Oh, very good. Glad to hear it. According to media outlet LAD Bible, the first official screening for the film had 9 confirmed walkouts by the end of the opening scene. Director Damien Leone reported that he had been in talks with, quote, legit Hollywood studios who had shown an interest in funding the film, but said, quote, after reading the first 5 pages, I knew they weren't going to let me make this movie. That's how insane Terrifier 3 is.
I have a fun fact for you.
Go ahead.
Terrifier 3 had plenty of time, but it didn't even try to get a rating, meaning it didn't have to comply with any of the rules laid out by the Classification and Rating Administration, which administrators the voluntary rating systems on behalf of the Motion Picture Association and National Association of Theater Owners. And it had been submitted, it risked receiving an NC-17 rating, meaning that no one 17 or younger could buy a ticket, period. Which is insane.
It's awesome. Awesome.
Cool.
The rat tube scene truly made Art the Clown, actor David Howard Thornton, nauseous, and he had to prevent himself from throwing up. So that was another thought I had that I forgot to bring up. When I walked out of the theater as well, I'm not sure what scene David Howard Thornton got sick at. I'm like, which one is it? Because it could be any of them. But it was the rat scene.
That's crazy.
The shower scene was leaked on YouTube on October 8th, 2024.
No way.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Me neither. And you think, I would have known.
I don't know.
It's the two of us.
I guess so.
Crazy.
All right. The torture of Jess at the end of the film was based on a torture technique common in medieval Europe. It seems to me that David. Wow, forgive me. It seems that Damien Leone still has that same book from Terrifier 1 that he used to make up that scene of the Saw scene. Because if you remember from Terrifier 1, the fun fact that we read is that he used like the medieval book to get ideas for original horror scenes. He's still doing it. He's still doing it. That's it for
he just has that book lying around.
Yeah. So that's it. That's it for fun facts, man.
Tier list time.
Let's do tier list, then we'll talk a little longer, and then we'll be done.
I actually have to go after tier list.
Okay.
I have to take care of some errands. Final day errands, because there is time limits on those things.
So it's safe to say we'll do quick closing remarks because this is the last movie in the franchise. We might as well finish it off.
Finish off strong. Not like Cole. Cole didn't finish off strong.
So it's safe to say that Lauren Rivera is an automatic Scream Queen at this point.
Dude.
She really is. She's just up there at this point with all the greats.
100%. 100%.
When I walked out of this theater, I really did think that I just witnessed history. I think with aspects of this film, I don't have a lot of notes on my phone. It's just the little ones. But I think I really did witness history, and I think that this movie combines the horror slasher element with the supernatural element perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
I like perfectly. I think it's perfect the way that he combines the supernatural and horror slasher elements together. When it's often done horribly or it just doesn't work as well as it should, Damien knocks it out of the park, in my opinion.
I 130% agree with that, because even in like classic traditional horror movies that we've grown up with, like Friday the 13th and Halloween,
Even Exorcist Believer.
they lean into those things, and to this day, it's still kind of like a mystery of how these killers become supernatural.
Right.
And so, like, and then if you go throughout throughout the franchises, there's different explanations of why they're able to do each thing.
Right.
The only one that has like a clear, genuine, explanation is Freddy Krueger. But even then, there's the New Nightmare, which is like the final Wes Craven Nightmare on Elm Street, where it's like meta. They break the fourth wall, and it's like, oh, all those movies were movies. The actors are real people, and this is happening to them now in real life. Freddy's become a real manifestation of evil in this real world. But like you said, Damien Leone, perfectly has found the balance for the supernatural and the slasher genre. And
it's a beautiful thing to see.
It's so refreshing. And
he's
so
automatically a legend. You know, she's automatically a legend. Man,
David
Howard Thornton, he's a legend. Like,
legend.
They're legends now in horror history. I've witnessed history with this movie. That's the best way I could put it. Like I was saying earlier, this film combines a bunch. The doorway element that opens up to, you know, another world of hell was very much like Hellraiser. The shower scene was like Psycho. The knife masturbation scene in The Mocking of Christ reminded me of The Exorcist. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The axe through the door, The Shining. And there's one more. There's one more that I forgot.
There's one scene, I don't know if you're talking about it, but he like lifts something up above his head, and you get like a low angle of art, and he comes down, and that shot's been done in Black Christmas and Friday the 13th, and it was kind of like almost the exact angle. Like somebody posted it.
Nice.
And Damien like reposted that, saying this wasn't even on purpose. Wow. Like this was an accident.
Yeah. Oh, and then the when you know the effects of how Vicky looked in the tub and all that was very much like Evil Dead to me. Like they combine all these elements of classic horror, whether it's subdued or not, and it's amazing.
Oh shit, dude, you're right. You're 100% right. The demons remind me of the Deadites from the Evil Dead franchise.
There you go.
Dude.
Yeah, I think
especially
very prevalent.
The first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit! You nailed that. Never came to mind. Holy fuck!
I think it's very prevalent that all those elements were just mashed together respectfully into this film. So let's do tier list.
Dude, we already know where this is going. We already know where this is going.
So if you guys don't know yet, we have a horror tier list for our horror reviews. At the bottom of the list, we have Salt and Burn It. Any Supernatural fans out there, this is for you. Next up above that, we have Straight to the Grave. Above that, we have So Bad It's Good. You get some horror movies that are so bad you just enjoy it. Next up, you have Put It on a Shirt. A lot of horror movies can be put on a shirt. Looks good. Above that, we have Scarred for Life. And top tier is Therapy Required. This is an automatic therapy required. No doubt about it. Every single Terrifier movie receives a top tier Therapy Required. It goes without saying.
Holy shit.
And it's honestly nuts to think about. Really nuts to think about. But
dude.
Yeah.
Nuts, dude.
Yeah, I know.
Therapy Required every single installment of this franchise.
Every single one. It'll probably keep going too. Yeah.
Dude, if Damien ever sees this, I know it's like just two dudes from Jersey talking about movies and saying like, oh, you know, this is the top tier. And it's not technically like, we're not like big or anything, but I hope it does kind of make some kind of impact on him, being like, damn, I'm doing the right thing.
Yes, he is.
Here.
He's a legend.
100%.
So what do you give this, man? What do you rate this movie?
4 stars.
So for you, every single Every single Terrifier movie for you is a 4.
Is a 4 right now. Well, this one might be 4.5.
I'm giving this one a 4.5.
I'm thinking 4.5.
Because with all the elements that they interplayed, the perfect mixing of slasher and supernatural, the realistic effects, the good effects when she's being possessed, the mockery and the redemption of the holy elements in this film being presented and refuted in a good way. It's just, they do the mocking of good in a very respectful way. That's what I'll say. It could be viewed as disrespectful. It could be very much viewed as disrespectful. But that's not what I got out of it at all, to be honest.
Like other things we've seen.
Yes.
It wasn't that.
Yes.
Tastefully done.
Very tastefully done. And like I said, it could be, I mean, it's Terrifier. We're talking about Terrifier. Of course, it's going to walk the line. But like we said before, if you didn't get Damien Leone's message that this is a fight between good and evil, of God and the devil, of demons and angels, then now you know. And it's done
he's gonna
so
show you
well.
The best of the best and the worst in this franchise.
Yeah.
What I'm getting.
And like I said, it's a perfect cocktail, all rolled up into one franchise, and I love it. I love this franchise. This might be my favorite horror franchise of all time. I don't know. Like I still have to watch these like probably 5-6 more times throughout my life to really make a decision. I'm not gonna lie, but like if I had to watch one all throughout, Saw might take it because those are just so enjoyable to me. I don't know if you could honestly I don't know if you could honestly sit through Halloween, the entire franchise, and like enjoy all of them. Same thing with Nightmare. Same thing with Friday. I don't know if you could sit through every single movie and be like, yes, because they're all not like that. I mean, once you open up with Halloween 4, it's like, oh, Laurie Strode's dead. It's like, what? You don't even get a proper explanation.
Yeah.
It's like...
Spoiler alert.
Sorry. It's been, 40 years? Go see the movie.
Dude, I only hear it from Mr. Irish Nightmare.
Well, you can spoil that for me because, like I said, 40 years, 50 years has been out, so screw it.
Oh, man.
It's like when a movie comes out and you have like a 2-week time period to go see it before it's spoiled for you. Like it's been like 30, 40 years at this point. It's my fault if I hear spoilers, but this might be one of the best horror franchises of all time. It might be my favorite.
I'm there with you. And I love Halloween. I love Halloween and Michael Myers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's my top shit. Friday the 13th is the second. Nightmare's like fourth. But I'm going to have to say this might be my first now.
Yeah.
Because of how well it's done, how well it's executed, and just knowing everything about it and the background and what it took to get to it at this point.
Any legendary movie or franchises has elements and puzzle pieces that make it into perfection, I would say. So, for example, The Exorcist had great casting and had the best director possible. The Godfather had great casting and the best director possible for that. Superman had the best casting and the best director possible for that. This has the best cast possible and the best director that could take this kind of movie to these heights. And it's beautiful to see. And like I said, I had a joyous day driving around today, reminiscing on horror and how nice it is that Halloween finally feels like Halloween again. Spooky season finally feels like spooky season again. And horror is back. And it's strong. It's been making its way up after COVID, but now it's back.
And the number one thing to remember with all those directors and all those casts and all those things that became what they are is they were uncompromising.
It's true.
And they were determined. And that's what Damien is with his franchise.
Right.
And that's how we keep getting bigger, better. And it doesn't even have to keep getting bigger. It could just stay.
Mm-hmm.
And it'd still be great. And if the story's better, then it's better in itself. But that's the main component, is just not compromising, not letting a studio tell you how to do things, doing your own thing because you trust your vision.
I mean, this could be one of the only cases in which you're going to have a director who only runs it himself, all of his movies. This might be one of the only cases in which, I would say specifically with Terrifier, this is going to be one of the only franchises that's directed and run in totality by the director, without a studio breathing on the back of your neck. And
Yeah.
do you think he's ever going to sell out in that aspect?
I don't want to say no. I want to say I hope not.
In terms of
Because I feel
Terrifier
like
or in terms of him as a director going forward? I think with Terrifier, it's his baby. They're going to let him do
I
what
feel
he
like
wants.
Terrifier he won't.
Right.
I feel like he won't sell out for Terrifier, but I feel like in the future, I'm not gonna say sell out, but I feel like there will be a time when a price will be named and it'll be too hard to say no to.
And the reason for me why this is a 4.5 out of 5 is because you have elements in which, she goes to the Terrifier, she comes back. We don't see any of that. I'm kind of curious to how that would be. The Jonathan reveal, I don't know. There's little bits in which for me it's not like a 5-star film. Maybe my mind will change in a few days. I don't know. But for right now, I'm giving it a 4.5.
We need those extra little things. We need the director's cut. Director's cut for me would probably be that 5
That'll
star.
probably be 5 stars. Yeah, yeah. It's like how much of a big
The
difference.
unrated
Yeah,
cut.
it's like it's not going to be as big of a jump as it's going to be from Justice League to Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's not going to be that kind of a big
No.
difference, but it might make it a 5-star film. So let us know your comments in the comment section below. Give us your ratings. Let us know what you think it should be on your. Let us know what you think it should be on our tier system. And I'm very happy, but also very sad that this journey has ended. I cannot wait to see what the new movie's going to have in store. He has the crew now. He has the money. He's going to get more money. He's going to get a bigger crew, maybe. We never know. But
2 more years, maybe.
in 2 more years, perhaps we'll see another one. I mean, I think from Terrifier 2 to Terrifier 3, it was literally 2 years. So, and he only made it in a year. So, I think the difference between that is in Terrifier 2, they're waiting to see the success, and it blew up after a year.
Yeah.
And now, like, okay, here's more money. Go do it in a year. So, he had 2 years, a break, and then him making the film in a year. And this time, it might have more time. So, I think
They might not put a time. Yeah, they might not put a time constraint on him now because of how well it's performing.
Exactly.
They might be like, take your time. You know what you're doing.
Yes. And they might give him like a duration limit again.
Here's 5 million. Here's 10 million.
Yeah. And I can't wait.
Go play.
I literally can't wait to watch the 4th one already. And man,
Dude, I'm so psyched.
horror is back. I've witnessed history.
Horror is back.
Witnessed history.
History was made.
History was made. And
Literally, history was made.
Literally, I mean, do you know the stats off the top of your head on like those the theater stats?
Yeah, I could pull it up. I have it pulled up right now. Let me get it. I have it right here. So right now, it has. So the 2 million budget, and it's made 41.6 million as of 2 days ago.
In a week, really.
41.6 million as of right now.
Right. And it's still pumping. It's only been a week.
I'm trying to find. There's like a literal website you could. Oh wait, here. So that's Terrifier 2, Terrifier 3. There's actually like a site that tracks. That stuff. Oh yeah, it's Box Office Mojo. So it's apparently worldwide, $44 million, 851,321.
Wow.
I'm not even sure if I read that correctly, but domestically 38,000.
On a $2 million
International
budget.
6,000 on a $2 million budget.
And it's gonna keep going. It's gonna keep climbing.
And it's only been out for 1 week or 12 days.
I want to see more marketing. Give me more. I want more marketing. Give me more of David Howard Thornton dressed up as art going to public places.
We're gonna get we got the Spencers one. We got the Ice Nine Kills is doing good promotion for that.
Oh yeah, huge.
And now we're just waiting.
Give me more.
Now we're just waiting.
Want more.
No, for real.
Art of the Clown is probably one of the most perfect slasher villains out there, I gotta say. I mean,
so
he has elements to keep you hooked on the screen in both a comedic light and a slasher light and a horror light. He's just the most well-rounded horror slasher antagonist ever.
So it had a drop from the 12th, from Saturday to Thursday. It was like -18 to -15 to -21, -46. in how much money it was making, but as soon as it hit Friday, the 18th, it went up 106.9%.
Wow.
$3 million just alone on Friday. On Saturday, it went up 26.7, 3 million, 81, 80, 815, 485 just in that day alone. It dropped again on Sunday, 35.2%, so it only made 2 million. Monday was even lower. It only made 894,000, and then went back up on Tuesday, 1,061,63,638. 638.
If you take like the 8 million number
Mm-hmm.
and you divide it by say 1250, which is like a standard movie ticket, that's 640,000 people in one day going to see this movie. That's insane. Insane. So let us know what you guys think in the comments. We
Number
witnessed
one
history.
movie in the country.
Number one movie in America for real.
Literally, I remember when I first mentioned that, and you're like, "Yeah, they always say that." But now it's like,
they do always say that, and now it's.
but now it's
for real, and it's.
now it's for real.
Give me more marketing. I want more advertising and marketing. Give it to me. I want more.
They're doing press. They're doing panels. And
I know.
stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch interviews now because I watched the last one. So now I'm gonna go watch interviews, dude, and I'm gonna go watch everything that's out there for this movie. All the marketing, all the interviews. David Howard Thornton, Damian Leone.
Everything. Lauren Rivera.
I want to watch everything now. So.
Elliot. I think his name's Elliot.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did. And I'm Jacob.
I'm Nick.
See you on the next one.
See you guys.